and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
I just elevated my checking account with Utah Community Credit Union. Tim, I'm so blown away at what I get with my elevated checking account at UCCU. I get so many benefits. I get cell phone protection and roadside assistance. The one that blows me away the most is telehealth. I actually get zero copay telehealth with my checking account from UCCU.
Did you know you also get a 0.25% loan discount? It's one of the many things. And if you like to travel or you're on the road quite a bit, a free ATM nationwide, 30,000 ATM locations that you can use while you're out.
Utah basketball star Walker Kessler and Utah Community Credit Union have come together to announce this brand new elevated checking account with more benefits, more savings, more online protections than ever before.
Yeah, there's even something for dark web monitoring, which I have never heard of before, but you can find out more by just going to uccu.com.
And open an elevated checking account online or stop by any branch.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Dear Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. My mom needed a computer to Zoom call me, my family, and the grandkids from across the country. You guys were so patient, helping her get everything set up just right. She gets so frustrated when things don't work, so I'm grateful that we found PC Laptops to hold her hand. I know it can seem crazy that she comes in every week for help, but you guys really are patient and treat her just like family. Signed, Happy Judy. Thanks, Judy. You know what's also amazing? The team from our store mentioned she brought by a giant box of donuts for them. This warms my heart, and this is why I started PC Laptops in 1992. PC Laptops, we really do love you. We have new computers with a lifetime warranty from $49 a month with zero interest for a year. OAC, PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com, where we love you.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Amanda, it looks like we have plenty of delays still in Utah County. We had heavy rain move through there just about 20 minutes ago or so, and that has left standing water on the freeways. The cars look like they are boats on the water, just leaving a wake as they go through. So that is really keeping things slow between American Fork and Provo, both directions. Then as you are northbound I-15 coming out of Utah County, you still have plenty of delays all the way up toward Bangerter Highway, and then again approaching downtown Salt Lake. Monster winds can cause huge damage to your roof that you can't see. Don't wait for a disaster. Go to Masters at masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free windstorm assessment today. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The rain will continue most of the day, highs around 50 degrees. It should clear up by tomorrow. Right now it's 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I think right now we're all just holding our breath, wondering what Israel is going to do after Iran launched just a steady stream of explosive-laced drones and missiles at its country this weekend, hitting like military facilities, but not major. The target was never major cities. But this is just wild, Dave. I felt like this weekend I was like, oh, no.
It was a direct attack from Iran, and that is the game changer. The fact is, the defense systems were incredible. they stepped up and they knocked down hundreds of explosive aerials, ballistic missiles, drones, as you said. It's 9:05. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And brought to you by Master Electrical Services, home of the upfront pricing guarantee. Here are the 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Utah making major moves to prevent child sex abuse by teaching school children what abuse is. Those in favor of this curriculum say it's a tough conversation, but one that absolutely needs to happen so kids know how to protect themselves.
We don't like to talk about it. This is a brutal topic. You know, no one wants to think that this could happen. No one wants to believe it. Yeah. It makes us feel weird inside. And so I think nothing changes until we really just open up the conversation.
I was floored, Debbie, when I realized how prevalent this is, how often it happens. The CDC is reporting that 1 in 4 girls are sexually abused. Boys are 1 in 20. So this opens up a conversation that truly matters.
Countdown. 2.
Well, certainly a lot of eyes on Israel today. Will it retaliate to Iran's retaliation? Woke up Sunday morning, Dave, wondering if the Middle East would be at all-out war and what our role would be in it. You know, Iran launching explosive-laced drones. We just talked about those. Ballistic missiles at Israel. There is a lot going on here and a lot to the backstory of why we ended up here. But to me, what drove this home is that phone call that President Biden had with U.S. fighter squadrons who were blowing Iranian missiles and drones out of the sky as they closed in on Israel.
It made an enormous difference, potentially saving a lot of lives. And thanks to extraordinary skill, the United States helped Israel take down nearly all those incoming missiles. You're remarkable.
Proud to be an American.
Proud to be an American. It really was incredible because this could have been so much worse. But our defense systems, our allies, the British, the Jordanians, came together to blow these out of the sky. But that still doesn't change the larger problem that Iran sent hundreds of missiles into Israel on a direct attack.
Launch countdown. 1.
We got big news this weekend. The Coyotes, Arizona's displaced pro hockey team, coming to Utah. We become Utah's new pro hockey team, and the deal is not done yet, and this is getting more and more exciting and frustrating all at the same time. We were told, it was Friday night, the team was informed, according to reports, that they were moving to Utah. We're going to catch you up on all that happened over the weekend. But right away, I felt like the move was met with some negativity toward Utah for several reasons. We'll talk about those as well.
I just think that moving to Utah would be a horrible decision, a disaster of a franchise. Plus, I heard that the rink that they're going to play in isn't even a hockey rink, it's a basketball rink.
Who's this guy? What do you know about Utah? This is a reputation for some reason we just can't shake. Anyone that's been here, any Jazz player that has come here realizes when you bring professional athletes, Real Salt Lake knows this, when you bring professional athletes to Utah, we embrace you, we love you, we become obsessed with you. If that's something you don't want, okay, then maybe Utah's not your place.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
We start Monday saying it could be this week. It could be this week that we find out. But let's remember, first of all, why we want a team. We want the team here, folks. It infuses money. It boosts the economy in downtown. It creates nightlife. It brings in new dining experiences, family fun. I mean, it would just be so awesome. Imagine downtown going from dead to alive again.
Because it is dead right now. Let's be very, very honest about this. Downtown needs a huge injection of energy, a huge injection. That doesn't come without bringing major league sports or some sort of cultural event like the Olympics. I mean, this happens, this billions and billions of dollars of investment doesn't happen unless there's a baseball stadium on the west side, unless there's a new jazz stadium and hockey arena here downtown. That is a key part of this, because if hockey doesn't come, if baseball doesn't come, don't expect those billions and billions of dollars the developers are lining up to invest in to still be there.
Salt Lake's not special. Downtowns die all the time, and downtowns die, Dave, because the city grows and we outgrow downtown space and housing becomes more expensive, and so we go sprawling. And we're sprawling, and we know that the population is moving toward the main population. The core is moving toward Utah County. So, to your point, we need this. We need this in downtown. But when? How? Adam Small, KSL News Radio reporter who loves all sports, has been keeping an eye on things for us over the weekend. Let's hear what he has to say.
Sources say the Arizona Coyotes are expected to be sold to Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith sometime between this Wednesday and Saturday. The anonymous source tells the Associated Press the $1 billion deal would give Smith the franchise and the ability to move them to Salt Lake City. It would also promise Arizona an expansion team if they can build a new arena within the next 5 years.
That is big news. It is the worst kept secret out there right now, because the owners, they don't want to announce it. They want to have the ribbon cutting and they want to have all the fanfare, the excitement, but you just can't keep a secret this big under wraps. And that's what we're getting, this piecemeal. The logic is getting connected, reports coming out. It's happening. It's just not official.
Yeah, the owner of the Arizona Coyotes released what I call a non-statement statement this weekend. It was a bunch of words, kind of like a word salad in 2 or 3 paragraphs, saying something to the effect of, I understand and empathize with the concerns of our fans, our community, and our partners, our players, our front office, and all of our team members. That was one sentence, by the way.
A lot of commas.
I hope to address these issues as soon as I'm able to speak on the topics. We are focused on a myriad of issues that are unresolved, and therefore we are unable to make an official public comment at this time. Oof, a bunch of nothing there. So team owner of the Coyote, current team owner, not commenting. It's, as you said, though, Dave, it's the worst kept secret on the planet right now.
And what makes it difficult is everybody that is attached to this organization, their life just went into complete and total chaos. Down to the hot dog vendor, to the top paid athlete. Yeah. And I don't even know who their top paid athlete is right now. Because I don't follow hockey. I've never had to. I will have to learn. But this affects hundreds and hundreds of people that are involved directly with the team.
Well, certainly lots of haters coming out of the woodwork all over social media this weekend. Haters over the team move. They love the team. They just aren't necessarily in line with the move.
Obviously, they weren't too thrilled to learn that just before the game, the entire team learned that they're moving to Utah.
Okay, so let's see if we can convince the players that Salt Lake City is the perfect place to play starting this October.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
My name is Case Lawrence, and I'm running for Congress. My wife and I are the parents of 6 wonderful kids, and now we have 2 beautiful grandkids. We raised our kids right here in Utah and have always felt like Utah is the best place in America to have a family. More than anything, I'm running for Congress to make sure that doesn't change. I hope you'll join me. I'm Case Lawrence, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Case for Congress.
A lot can happen in 24 hours.
The new task force includes state and federal agencies.
The Pentagon continues to monitor threats. No accidents on any of your Salt Lake County freeways.
Catch up on your drive home.
Southern Utah University has the all clear from police.
Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news gets you current, and his trademark minute of news will get you thinking.
Moderation. That's how John Tinniswood says he became the world's oldest man.
Jeff Kaplan has you covered 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Are you dealing with pain and discomfort from bulky, ill-fitting dentures? Do you find yourself hiding away during meals with your family and friends? Don't let dentures hold you back any longer. Utah's Best of State winner, Stubbs Dental Implant Center, is here to set you free. Say goodbye to dentures and say hello to the All-On X dental implant procedure, the permanent, life-changing solution that allows you to eat, smile, and laugh confidently once again. Thanks to the newest cutting-edge technology, you can have a brand new, permanent smile in as little as 24 hours. Yeah, you heard it right. Fast forward to finals and let your smile be the one to light up the room. And here's the best part. Your consultation is absolutely free. At Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's #1 dental implant center. They've helped thousands of patients love their smiles again. You could be next. It only takes 60 seconds to start your journey to a happier, healthier smile at StubbsDental.com. That's StubbsDental.com.
Are you stressing about your IRS tax problems? Have you received notices from the IRS threatening to garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, or seize your property? You need an ally. Allies Tax Relief has tax attorneys and enrolled agents that are ready to fight for you. They have saved millions for taxpayers just like you. Allies Tax Relief can help put a stop to IRS collections and, most importantly, negotiate your tax debt. Here's Brenda, a happy client of Allies Tax Relief.
I owed the IRS around $57,000, and they're about to start garnishing my paychecks. I heard a commercial on the radio about Allies Tax Relief, so I thought I'd give them a call. After a day, they were able to at least stop the garnishments, and after a few months of negotiations, I walked away owing the IRS only $301.
If you owe the IRS, call Allies Tax Relief right now for your free consultation. Call 800-230-5174. 800-230-5174. That's 800-230-5174.
At the heart and soul of the Larry H. Miller Company is the connection between people and the places they share. Because we believe that life takes place. Places for families to live, to laugh, and to heal. From the top of our minds to the bottom of our hearts, we're fully invested in making the places that will enrich lives for generations to come. Larry H. Miller Company. We make the places where life takes place.
Does your business struggle with ISO, SOC 2, HIPAA, CMMC, NIST, or other compliance? Register now for the WebCheckSecurity.com Cyber Summit. That's WebCheckSecurity.com.
Look, life is super busy. So here at KSL News Radio, and with the support of our colleagues at KSL 5 Television, we put out every single day the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. So you get the top news of the day straight to your email by subscribing to KSL's 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. So how do you do it? Super simple. Just text the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, the entire Wasatch Front has the potential of seeing up to an inch of rain before midnight. Second, State Board of Education member Natalie Klein did not get the nomination at the Salt Lake County Republican Convention. She will not be reelected. And third, former President Donald Trump is in the courtroom, the first former president to stand trial on criminal charges. Right now, it's 43 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Look, it is, for some reason, we just cannot shake it. Everywhere I go and I say, hey, I live in Utah. I've lived there for like 30 years. People are like, ooh, Utah. Isn't that like super boring? Nothing to do at night? You got those weird liquor laws. So let's spend a few minutes convincing Arizona Coyotes players and their families that Utah is a great place to live. Of course, rumors have been circulating among insiders who cover the team and Arizona Coyotes fans as well that this is going to happen. It's going to happen this week. And here's some of the response that I saw, Dave, over the weekend.
Obviously, they weren't too thrilled to learn that just before the game, the entire team learned that they're moving to Utah.
That is a tough announcement to make right before the game. I understand the players are shocked, and you knew it was kind of coming, right? I mean, this wasn't the first time they'd heard about this, but that is a major change. These guys married, have kids, got to take them out of school. Okay. I mean, there's some real life stuff that is happening here. I want to be sensitive to. I also think that Utah gets a bad rap for being all those things. Yeah. Quirky, weird, overly religious, whatever the complaints, I've heard them all over the years, especially in the professional realm, until people come and play here and they realize, oh, this is amazing. The fans love their teams. This is not Philadelphia, folks, that if you have one bad game, you get booed. Philadelphia boos Santa Claus, right? I mean, that is not what Utah is. So when, in my experience, and I've covered this for a lot of years, when athletes come to Utah, they fall in love with it because the experience is great.
Yeah, I got the same. When I moved here in 1990, I moved here from Phoenix area, Yuma. I was working in Yuma, and
There's some coincidence
people
here.
that I was working with in Phoenix had actually lived and worked in Utah. One of them was a main news anchor here, another was a producer here, and they both said, just so you know, there might be aspects of living in Salt Lake City that aren't your vibe, but I've loved it here. I really have. I've really, really loved it here. Obviously, I'm here 34 years later, so I haven't gone anywhere. So here's one reason I think that we have to brag about how great Utah is. We have been named the #1 best state overall by U.S. News and World Report, but we know it's awesome here. We've got they've said because of healthcare, education, the economy, infrastructure, opportunity, financial or fiscal stability. We run a really fiscally sound state. We also have great hiking. We've got great outdoor activities. Don't have, I'm sorry to the Arizona Coyotes, but it will not reach 119 degrees in the shade in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, exactly. But these are hockey players. I don't know why in the world you're complaining about the winter here in Utah. You know, it's toasty down in Arizona. Maybe you do, maybe not the 119, but it's beautiful weather, you know, a big chunk out of the year, and the winters are much better than they are up here. But you're a hockey player. You play on ice. No complaints for how cold it is.
They'll also be getting, we think, a new arena. They've got the support of Utah lawmakers who came up with a funding mechanism just a couple of months ago for a slight sales tax increase in Salt Lake City to support a new arena district in the downtown area. So that'll bring lots of sports to downtown Salt Lake City, not only the Jazz, but also the Utah Yeti. Is that what we're going to call them? We don't know yet for
Fingers
sure what they're going to
crossed.
be called. But there'll be new nightlife. There'll be new dining. You've got the funding mechanism. Isn't it great to have the support of Capitol Hill? I mean, it's not like in Arizona, the Coyotes have been passed around from city to city. We're going to talk about that more in just a moment. But they're in a 45, maybe 5,000 seat arena right now at my alma mater, Arizona State University. It's not ideal. Yeah, the Delta Center, it's going to be temporary. And if it's not temporary, if they're going to make it the permanent home, they'll make it cool for hockey so we can see it, right? So we can have good views. Don't you think, Dave?
Absolutely. They will make huge investments. Now, there's a few things that come to mind. Number one, multi-purpose arenas are not great because the benefits you gain in one sport, you maybe lose in another. So I don't want to dismiss the idea that having a specific NHL stadium, that would be ideal versus retrofitting where the Jazz play. But that being said, the Jazz are king. No matter how much excitement we have right now, if there's going to be a new stadium, Deb, it's going to be for the Jazz. It's not going to be for the new Arizona Coyotes, whatever.
Utah Yeti,
yeah. Right? If somebody's getting preferential treatment, it's going to be the Jazz. Now, are they going to do a new Jazz arena and a new NHL stadium? Maybe, possibly. I could see that happening as well.
A dual purpose?
No, I think they would.
Oh, two
ideally,
separate.
They would like two different stadiums. Now, whether they're tearing down the Delta Center and rebuilding a new one, I don't know. We don't know what that is. But the Jazz will always get priority here in Utah. Like, if they're going to build a brand new stadium, it's not going to be for just the NHL, I don't think.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of momentum with a lot of promise for downtown Salt Lake City, and this is key right here. I think that this team would be welcomed. I think we'll pack the stadium. I think we'll bring down the house. No more of this, maybe we're going to sell out, maybe we're not going to sell out of a 5,000-seat arena.
Yeah.
We will pack the house. I think the new owner, Ryan Smith, will make sure that happens. And, in fact, I've listed that as one of the great things about Utah that I would tell the team if I had them, a moment with them. Say, hey, you know what? No Debbie Downer moments here. This is going to be an amazing move for you guys and your families. Utah's got a great outdoor recreation. There's going to be a new buzz in downtown Salt Lake City, and you guys are going to be a part of it. And then on top of it, you're going to have this new owner, and they're coming off of just years of financial ups and downs. The team filed for bankruptcy in 2009. In 2021, Glendale, which they were playing in Glendale, said, we're not going to renew your lease. So they moved to this tiny arena at ASU where they've been playing. Now the team is involved in a lawsuit with the city of Phoenix, but the city of Phoenix has also sued Tempe. I mean, it's just messy. And then last year there was a special election and voters rejected a Coyotes arena and entertainment district during a special election. So the message has been sent. You're not really welcome in the Valley of the Sun. So just come up here where it snows. It just snows just a couple of months out of the year, and we've got beautiful summers, and embrace it. Embrace the move.
There's a few things that concern me. I mean, I'm very optimistic in so many ways. I fully support it. I love it. I've also seen the revitalized downtown with the Gateway. We built this beautiful thing. It was hot for a minute, and now it's fallen into disrepair in many ways, or vacancy. People aren't there. It's not the hub that it originally was. So I've seen these revitalization efforts fall flat on their face before. So just because we are bringing a new team, there's excitement initially. Is there long-term success out there?
Okay, but the Gateway's a mall, Dave.
That's true.
It's a shopping mall. I mean, I think if they played hockey in the middle of the Gateway, they'd pack the place.
That's the game changer for you.
That's the game changer. It's a mall, and there's another mall in City Creek, and then there's all these other shopping areas. I mean, I think sometimes you get oversaturated and malls can tend to overhype. And when there's another mall 3 or 4 blocks away, it just isn't. It's a mall. There's no way I'm going to be able to think in my brain, oh, yeah, the mall is the same thing as a hockey team. I think this is a huge game changer. I think it is the economic infusion that we need in downtown Salt Lake. Look, I was walking around downtown Salt Lake City on Thursday afternoon, parked the car at about 1:45, did not have a problem at all parking in downtown, something that never happened before the pandemic. I would practically, compete for parking spots back in 2019. Super easy to park, tons of open spaces to park downtown. And then I start walking around the Gallivan Plaza area, and there's these food trucks parked out there. And I thought, oh, that's where that smell's coming from. Lucky Channel 2 News, man. They're right there, right by the Gallivan Center. Not a single person in line. Hardly anybody at the Gallivan Center. I continued to walk around downtown Salt Lake, and there were blocks where I didn't even pass a soul. Now, I know this is in the afternoon hours, but we need something in downtown. Downtowns tend to die. Salt Lake City is not special. This happens as the population moves away from downtown, and it's happening right now across Salt Lake County. We're moving to Harriman. We're moving to South Jordan. We're moving to Draper. We're moving to Lehigh. We're moving to Saratoga Springs. We're moving to places where we can afford houses. We can't afford to let our awesome downtown just wither away.
And I hope we don't. I hope I'm wrong. I also acknowledge that even with the Jazz, and the Jazz rule in this state, they play 41 home games. So yeah, during the home games, there's a buzz. There's an excitement. People come downtown. We're looking for people to come downtown 365.
Next, there was another big story that developed over the weekend. State school board member Natalie Klein is out.
9:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a Layton man is in custody after police say he shot a gun multiple times through an apartment building. It happened Sunday morning in Layton. Police say the 22-year-old was heavily intoxicated when he shot into an apartment balcony. He said he meant to shoot it into the air. He faces numerous charges. The murder trial of Chad Daybell resumes today in Boise. Daybell is charged with the murders of his wife, Lori Vallo's 2 stepchildren, and his first wife, Tammy. Last week, that'd be Lori Vallow's 2 children and his first wife, Tammy. Last week, the judge seated a jury. Opening arguments were delivered, and one witness took the stand. It turns out the average American is pretty sleepy. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla has details.
If you wish you could get more sleep, you're not alone. 57% of Americans say they would feel much better if they could get more sleep, and only 42% say that they get enough. That's all according to a recent Gallup poll. It's a stark difference to the 2013 poll, where 56% said they got all the sleep they need. A quarter of respondents said they got the recommended 8 hours of sleep. Not too far behind that is the 20% who say they get 5 hours of sleep or less. All of that data collected found that younger women were the most likely to report being sleepy. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Let's get a look at your money at this moment. The Dow is up 117. Right now we're at 38,101. And coming up, we do have rain today into this evening. We'll check it next. KSL weather coming up. KSL News Time is 9:32. Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
We are enjoying some rainy weather, and as the weather changes, blackouts become more prevalent. It's why you may want to consider having a standby generator.
How often have you said, we really need to think about getting a standby generator just in case? I thought I'd look into getting a standby generator. Well, guess what? You're in luck. Master Electrical has the standby generator you need. They're a premier dealer for Generac, and they not only sell those generators, but they also service and install them for you.
I think of how many people have family members, maybe a little older family members that have medical equipment that runs in their home, and electricity is absolutely crucial. They can't go hours or even days without electricity. You've got to have that, and a standby generator can really protect you from those dangers.
That, and with the popularity of electric vehicles like you just bought as well, you got to give Master Electrical a call today. Of course, Master Electrical maintains the highest standards, and they have different financing that fits almost any budget.
Learn more about the Generac standby generator by going to masterelectrical.com. That's masterelectrical.com.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
AA MCO.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat, watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
A happy place comes in many colors. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. During our spring sales event, special offers are available through April 30th. Schedule your home painting project today and bring happiness home. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
It already feels like home.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a new crash northbound I-15 just before Pioneer Crossing in American Fork. Now, the vehicles themselves are over on the left shoulder, but UHP did a slowdown of all lanes of traffic just about 5 minutes ago, and so traffic is now backed up to Pleasant Grove Boulevard. So it's going to take you a few extra minutes to get through that stretch, and the traffic is able to go now through the area. But you still have significant slowdowns through all of Utah County due to some very heavy rains, and another crash southbound I-15 in Orem is over on the right shoulder, so you definitely need to use caution today. The best kept secret is This is the Pass. It's a pass for fun for everyone. Now through April 30th, save $20 off every annual pass level. 362 days of fun. Visit thisisthepass.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The rain will continue most of the day. Highs will reach about 50 degrees, and then it should clear up, at least in part, tomorrow. No rain in the forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow we get up to 60. Right now it's 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We learned over the weekend that state school board member Natalie Klein is out. She will not be reelected. Of course, this comes after she made a post to Facebook that called out a high school girls basketball player's gender.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, Utah could have an NHL team by the end of the week. Second, President Biden is asking Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to wait and respond to Iran's airstrike in a careful and thought-out manner. Third, today is tax day. Make sure you file your taxes by today or ask for an extension. Right now, it's 43 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Let me start over. We apologize for some technical issues. We'll work those out. So state school board member Natalie Klein is not going to be reelected. So she found out at convention she didn't have enough votes to get out of convention. And, of course, I want to reset how we got up to this point, Dave. That she made a Facebook post. She deleted it. But during the time it was up on her page, many people weighed in on it. And it called out a high school girls basketball player's gender. And turns out the girl is a girl. Now, as I said, she deleted the post, issued an apology, but that wasn't enough. The delegates said no to Klein.
And there was a lot of pressure on her to resign. And it was coming from everywhere. It was coming from the governor on down. The state legislature was looking at opportunities and seeing if it was legal to impeach her and get rid of her. It's an elected office, so it's not easily done to remove someone from office. They examined a million different ways, but mostly they were just hoping that they could pressure her into resigning, and she refused.
KSL 5 Television's Lindsay Aerts, you were at the convention this weekend.
I was, guys. Excuse me. Good morning. And this really was a shocker that happened at convention. As I was talking to delegates and party insiders before the vote, people did not think that she was not going to at least force a primary. So what had to happen was she had to get at least 40% of the vote in order to force a primary. So a lot of people thought that would at least happen. Maybe she wouldn't win the convention, but she would at least force a primary. And so to have the vote be 63 to 36 and just knock her out completely really was surprising.
So what happened here, Lindsay? Was there a speech that was given? Did she try to justify what had happened? What did we hear?
Yeah, so she didn't make any mention of the post. So it's kind of hard to know how much that post really was the deciding factor in this election. But what Natalie Klein did get up there and say at the convention was that she believes that there are dangerous ideologies being taught in Utah schools. And she reiterated, even doubled down on that position. And that really was her plea to delegates, that she believes that she is standing up for these ideologies that are being taught in Utah schools. She even went so far as to call it indoctrination of Utah's students. And so that was her message. She was even handing out a flyer that showed examples of, pride flags being displayed or LGBTQ messages that teachers had, given or whatever was on that flyer. But again, that was her message. She was doubling down on that message. And so I think what ended up happening here is that was the message that she wanted to send, and she was hoping that the more conservative delegates would resonate with that message. But what ended up happening was you saw what Amanda Bollinger called this silent majority who came out, who rejected this, again, what Amanda called a less extreme candidate in herself, and they selected Amanda Bollinger at the end of the day.
To move on. KSL 5 Television's Lindsay Aerts covered the convention this weekend where state school board member Natalie Klein found out she didn't have enough delegate support to make it out of convention. So her run as a state school board member is over, right, Linz? There's no other path for her.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She did not gather signatures, so she put her political fate in the hands of these delegates to elect her. And again, the breakdown had to be at least 40% for Natalie Klein. The Salt Lake County GOP rules say that if you get 60% of the vote, you automatically become the party nominee. So she has no other path to the ballot now, which means she'll finish out her term through the end of 24 as a sitting member of the State Board of Education, but she won't go on to be able to be reelected.
Well, it was, I will say, surprising to me still, given that Facebook post and all of the backlash. She actually did pretty well at convention. She did a lot better than I thought she would with 36% of the vote. So she was in 4% of forcing a primary after all of that controversy. So she didn't lose by much, Linz.
It was interesting. I actually talked to one delegate who had the opposite position as a lot of majority. This one delegate said to me that she was planning on voting against Natalie Klein, but after her post, she changed her mind because she believed that Natalie Klein cared about what was happening in Utah schools and cared about defending, this type of, again, what she calls indoctrination that she believes is happening in Utah schools. And so she actually changed her mind the opposite way because of that post. So I found that perspective really interesting.
Lindsay Aerts, thank you for joining us from KSL 5 Television.
Yeah, thank you for covering all sides of that issue. And Amanda Bollinger now moves on. And Natalie Klein does not. So she'll serve out a term. It ends, I believe, in January of next year, and it's her run is over.
Yeah, and again, she will finish out her term. There are still 8 months or so left in this, so before the next election. But yeah, there was a very strong message being sent there, and the delegates rejected her.
Straight ahead, I woke up this weekend on edge after Iran sent missiles and explosive-laced drones into Israel. It was retaliation for retaliation. I mean, this is complicated. There is a lot going on here. We're going to have Professor Amos Giora live. He is in Israel this morning for us. Not for us. He was there. It's not like we said, hey, Professor, will you leave the U and head to Israel? But he's going to have that insider's perspective for us in about 3 minutes.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Free! Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/Milo's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
As a roofer, spring means the start of my busy season, which means I've got to get organized. With help from Beacon, I can save time with Beacon Pro Plus and 24/7 access to live pricing, delivery tracking, order history, and more. Plus, this spring, I can earn $1,000 and the chance to win a $25,000 backyard renovation just by buying my Certainty shingles online with Beacon. No purchase necessary. Now that's what I call a spring cleanup. Visit BECN.com for official rules and to start earning entries.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Eileen talks about her experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
A lot of gross kitchen in the beginning, cracked formica, bad floor, ripped linoleum, and I decided to heck with this. I want it done. And I found an ad from 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. I called him. Dave brought all of his stuff. We talked about what I wanted. I chose the materials. It was very easy. He came in. He did what he said. They did it in the time frame that they said, at the cost that they said. His crew was delightful. We came home. Everything had been cleaned up. I would say people are silly not to do 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. I just love it. It's just like I moved into a new home.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Howdy, folks. It's me again. And surprise, it's tomato frenzy time at J&J Garden Center in Layton. Right now, all large-sized tomato plants are only $2.99 each. That's half price and grown from seed right here at J&J. And while you're here, pick up a bag or two of J&J's private label all-purpose premium topsoil to help strengthen your vegetable garden for only $5.98 a cubic foot bag. So come to the Tomato Frenzy sale at J&J Garden Center in Layton, where they have the best products at the best price and the best employees, too. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home. J&J Garden Center.
My name is Case Lawrence, and I'm running for Congress. The chaos at our southern border is a national emergency. We can fix the border, but not with politicians who are more worried about their own political future than America's future. I'm not a politician. I'm a problem solver. I hope you'll join me. I'm Case Lawrence, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Case for Congress.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
If you're interested in the top 3 things that you need to know, check out KSL's 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. You're going to get top of the news days straight to your email. All you have to do is text the word inbox to 57500. That's the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, Utah could have an NHL team by the end of the week. Second, President Biden is asking Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to wait and respond to Iran's airstrike in a careful and thought-out manner. Third, today is tax day. Make sure you file your taxes by today or ask for an extension. Right now, it's 43 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I woke up on Sunday wondering, is the Middle East going to be at war? Is what's going on between Israel and Gaza going to expand even more? Because Iran launched an attack against Israel, lots of drones with explosives on them and missiles. And then it really hit close to home to me, Dave, when I heard the call between the U.S. fighter squadrons that were knocking these missiles and the drones out of the sky to help defend Israel. The they had with the President Biden, after it all went down.
He made an enormous difference, potentially saving a lot of lives. And thanks to extraordinary skill, the United States helped Israel take down nearly all those incoming missiles. You're remarkable. Proud to be an American.
It is incredible the way we are able to defend ourselves and how essentially we're helping Israel defend themselves. But let's be very, very clear. Iran has been attacking Israel nonstop for years. They've just been conducting it through a proxy war, whether it's the Houthis in Yemen or Hezbollah or Hamas. They have been attacking. They've just been funding all the other rebel groups. This, though, a direct attack, does it cross a line? Does it change anything?
Well, Amos Giora, professor at the University of Utah, School of Law there, and also in Israel. You served in the Israeli Defense Forces. Thanks so much for calling us from Israel this morning. My understanding was the backdrop for this, even though it's been going on for years, was a recent attack in Syria by Israel on Iran's, consulate there?
Correct.
Yeah.
Embassy, consulate, some kind of a compound.
Yeah, compound where a top Iranian military official was taken out by Israel. So it's messy. I mean, this was like a retaliation for maybe another retaliation. I mean, set the landscape for us. Tell us, give us some of the backstory, and then tell us how things are going there today.
So, first of all, thanks for having me. Indeed, I just arrived in Israel, and I hope the connection is okay because I'm actually driving. The Iranian response of, 48 hours ago was something that they had threatened to do in response to, as you correctly note, the killing of the Iranian generals in Damascus. And so I don't think that this came as a total surprise. That said, there was really a question whether or not they would go through with their threat, and this time they did. And you are also correct that until now, the Iranian attacks on Israel have never been direct. It's always been through proxies, particularly Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. We could have a long discussion about whether Hamas is an Iranian proxy, but that's for a different day. So the 400 or 350 drones, missiles that were fired towards Israel that were intercepted, whether before they got to Israel or over Israel, the harm they cause here, the damage they cause here from a physical perspective is minimal at best, which is, I think, why from an Iranian perspective, the firing of the missiles was a lose-lose. One, because they had no impact here other than, causing for some people, anxiety and maybe stress. But it also, on the other hand, galvanized the world. Right? As you correctly noted, the United States of America, and England and Jordan. Jordan needs to be thrown into the loop of countries that came to Israel's assistance by also shooting down the drones. That's important to add. And I think that's probably what caused the Iranians yesterday or today, get confused with the time zones. They are beyond surprise, which maybe shows their lack of geopolitical understanding, that the world has turned against them for attacking Israel in this way. So, you can attack generals, you can kill generals, but attacking a civilian population, which is what this is intended to do, is different. And maybe they missed the first day of geopolitics. On the other hand, there's a school of thought that says that because they, in essence, gave due notice that this was going to happen, that this was performative, meaning they tit for tat, that they probably took into consideration that most of the drones missiles would be shot down. I don't know if they expected all of them to be shot down, and I think there was one Israeli injured, and there's a slight damage to one of the Israeli air bases that they attacked. So from their perspective, maybe that's the word performative, maybe the correct word. Where we go next is obviously the question. President Biden, I think, has made it very clear to Prime Minister Netanyahu that the United States of America defends Israel defensively, won't defend Israel offensively. And so the obvious question here is where do we go on two different fronts here, or three fronts? One, where do we go with Iran? When I use the word we, I mean Israel. Where do we go with Iran? Where do we go with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon? In the meantime, there's still a war ongoing in Gaza, and the long-awaited, much-discussed incursion at the Israel Defense Forces in Rafiah, which is the southernmost town in Gaza, that's still out there somewhere on the table. You take all three together, and I'm sure that's why President Biden made it very clear to Netanyahu, I think as did Macron, who's on his way here, and I think the German foreign minister, is also on his way here to say to Netanyahu, we supported you 48 hours ago, but don't translate that into support if you are to continue the war in Gaza, two very different things. And the question of Hezbollah in Lebanon is a third question, because don't forget there are, I'm not sure the numbers, let's say 100,000 Israelis who have been evacuated from Israel's northern border and can't go back home until the situation with Lebanon is somehow resolved.
Is Israel overwhelmed at this point, fighting on so many fronts?
It's an interesting question, the multiple front question. I don't know, and don't wait. Hang on, to complicate your excellent question. Don't forget that 48 hours ago, Jewish settlers in the West Bank attacked Palestinians in response to the murder of a 14-year-old Israeli boy the day before. So I don't know, is that a 3-front, 4-front? It extends the army, and the way that it works here is it will require, I assume, the recall up of reservists, because remember the brunt of the main force of the Israeli army are reservists. In the aftermath of October 7th, I think it was 300,000 reservists who were called up, which also imposes a significant economic impact, because these are people who work, or then are called up and they don't work, so the economy takes a hit. Your question is a spot-on question. Throw into the mix that people like me of my political ilk, and I'm very open about this, will tell you that Prime Minister Netanyahu has a clear interest in the continuation of this, because it ensures that he can stay in power and serves as a deflector, if you will, from his trial and his own political travails. There's no easy answer here.
No, there is not, but we appreciate you taking the time. Live from Israel, Emil Skiora is a professor at the University of Utah, but has served in the Israeli Defense Forces and brings great expertise. Thank you.
Yeah, President Biden telling Netanyahu, hey, we will defend you, but we're not going to play offense for you. So the question today and the next couple of days will be, what will Israel do? Will they respond? Or, look, no loss of life from what we've heard. No, I heard this morning on my way, and there was a child who was injured, but no major catastrophic damage. You just heard Amos Giora live from Israel for us. So does Netanyahu just stand down right now and say, okay, let's just put this behind us?
Yeah, it's a great question, Debbie, because what if we had not been able to shoot down so many of these drones and rockets and ballistic missiles, and had these gotten through? It is such a gamble on Iran's side to shoot hundreds of explosives into a country with maybe the fingers crossed that only a fraction of them get through. It is a massive gamble and incredibly dangerous.
Next, we're going to take a really in-depth look in the 10 o'clock hour at what I'm calling the signature scandal. The Attorney General's office has filed criminal charges alleging that people in Utah illegally gathered signatures to get a congressional candidate on the ballot. Is our process just ripe for scandal? We'll answer that next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. Our top story this hour. Looks like we've got a storm ready to drop more rain on Salt Lake today. The mountains looking at another big load of snow. The entire Wasatch Front could see up to an inch before midnight and more in the mountains.
The mountains, we're going to see a widespread 6 to 12, possibly as high as 18 inches up in the upper Cottonwoods.
And National Weather Service meteorologist Christine Cruz says the rain expected to taper off tonight around 10 or 11. Temperatures will be back into the 60s tomorrow. Our top national story from ABC News. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the United States isn't looking for a fight with Iran, even after Iran fired hundreds of drones and missiles at Israel over the weekend.
We don't seek escalation, but we'll continue to support the defense of Israel and to protect our personnel in the region.
American ships and fighter jets helped to shoot down the waves of drones in the Iranian attack. And right now we're looking at mostly cloudy and rainy skies. We'll have a situation with traffic up next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Good morning. I'm the 40% off window company.
40% off? Of what?
Hey, 40% off!
Yeah, I'll bet it's your biggest sale of the year. This week only, because you need a model home in our neighborhood. Well, nothing. It's baloney. Hi, this is Kathy.
I'm Doug of Window World. When you hear those things, you know you've entered the baloney zone.
Resist the force of the baloney zone.
Find Window World online at windowworldutah.com.
Or call Window World at 281-8111. That's 281-8111.
And that's no baloney.
Everyone's house is different, but they're all the same in one way. We all have those places where the Wi-Fi just won't go. I mean, for you, maybe it's the attic. For me, it's my basement. Well, if you had wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity, you could worry less about these dead spots. Finally. With wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity, you get fast speeds throughout your home, a reliable connection in every room, and power for all your devices, even when everybody's online. That's wall-to-wall Wi-Fi, only on the Xfinity 10G network. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity for a reliable connection throughout your home now through June 21st. New customers can get started with gig speed internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. Here's what you do. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, that's 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today.
Hey guys, do you know your T level? Revive Men's Health here in Salt Lake City is helping you take that first step toward better health and enhanced intimacy with a free testosterone level test, exam, and consultation. Plus, for this month only, qualified patients can kickstart their treatment with a free supply of ED medication. Revive's customized ED treatments can provide immediate results, restore blood flow naturally, and even bring spontaneity back into your love life. With both in-person and telemedicine appointments available, plus free shipping directly to you, Revive takes the hassle out of treating low T and ED. Having an optimal testosterone level can change your whole life, and it starts with knowing your T level. Take that first step and book your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation, and kickstart your treatment with a free supply of ED medication this month only. Call Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the crashes just keep coming in Utah County. The latest one is northbound I-15, just before you get to the University Parkway exit in Orem. This vehicle is over on the left shoulder. Not causing too many delays. Traffic is slower in the area because of all the rain that it keeps coming into Utah County as well. And that's slowing down people both northbound and southbound, especially between American Fork and Provo. In the Salt Lake Valley, you might see a few brake lights from time to time, but overall, that is a pretty good drive. The best kept secret is This Is the Pass. It's a pass for fun for everyone. Now through April 30th, save $20 off every annual pass level. 362 days of fun. Visit thisisthepass.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, showers taper off tonight and skies clear up tomorrow. Highs stay in the 60s through the rest of the week. Right now, 45 degrees. It's cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
And it's a developing one, and I'm calling it the signature scandal. Utah does have a path to get candidates onto a ballot by collecting signatures. And this particular scandal unfolded in the 2nd congressional race last fall. 13 people, Dave, have now been charged criminally by the Utah Attorney General's office for a myriad of allegations. But if this proves to be true, this signature gathering path to the ballot, to me, is the Swiss cheese of fraudulent opportunities for people who want to illegally gather signatures.
It's difficult because trying to get on the ballot right now, you've got this dual path, the signatures that you just described, or you can go through a convention and woo the delegates. Well, that can be incredibly difficult, to go to convention, get all the delegates. So this is to add the second path, the signature gathering path, just allows more candidates to go out there, but they got to hustle up a lot of support, and they've got to go and they've got to get a lot of signatures. What happens, though, is because the numbers are quite high, how many signatures you need, a lot of times this is a little cottage industry where they have to hire people. This isn't your mom and pop grassroots scenario where everybody, we're going out and gathering signatures. They hire professionals to gather these signatures. And these professionals, at least in this case, seem to have become absolutely fraudulent.
We've reported it here. KSL News Radio, KSL 5 Television has done reports on it, Daily Herald, Standard Examiner. And so this is a culmination of all of the many articles that I've read about this. But 13 people swept up in this, what I'm calling the signature gathering scandal. But these two men in particular really stood out to me in all of the allegations. Where the prosecutors allege that they told people who were going out and gathering signatures to just fraudulently, forge a couple of voter signatures. That they used a fake lease agreement without someone's permission to use their name as proof of residency here in Utah. That they faked text messages back and forth when they were questioned to make it seem like they were actually a Utah resident responding to the text messages. And so Taylor Morgan, KSL at Night host, you really championed on Capitol Hill as a lobbyist this path to the ballot being a signature gathering route. And I'm looking at these allegations where they are even accused of signing forms illegally. Signing forms and turning those packets in. So this to me just seems that this path to the ballot is just ripe for potential fraud.
Yeah, Debbie, I think this is a really important conversation. I'm so glad that we are talking about this this morning. I should note, perhaps to start the conversation, at least on my end, by disclosing my role as executive director of Count My Vote.
Thank you.
The statewide organization who implemented the signature path to the ballot back in 2014. Just want to put that out there and be clear. I have a clear bias here, so I want to be transparent about that. I will say, though, that we've had this signature path to the ballot for 10 years. This year marks the 10th anniversary. We have seen a lot of positive outcomes of the signature path. Utah's had the second highest rate of voter participation increase in the country since we implemented the signature path to the ballot. Today, 90% of all races are decided in primary elections where all party voters can have a say. Before the signature path was added, 99% of all races were decided by a tiny group of party delegates at conventions. So the signature path is working. Utahns really like it, but it is not perfect. There are some serious issues, and these are issues that we have been working on for the last 10 years to improve and address. To be honest with you, Debbie, we have been fighting so hard just to preserve the signature path that we haven't yet been able to make these important fixes, some of which led directly to this situation that we're talking about today.
If you were able to, quote unquote, fix these, what are the top two things you would want to address that would maybe prevent some of these possible fraudulent claims?
Number one are the signature thresholds themselves. Now, in many races, the signature thresholds, the required number of signatures, works pretty well. At the state legislative level, it's 1,000 signatures of party voters for the House. In the Senate, it's 2,000 signatures of party voters for a Senate seat. Those thresholds seem pretty reasonable. Those seem to work pretty well. However, when it comes to statewide races, the statewide requirement is 28,000 signatures of party voters. Congressional races require 7,000 signatures of party voters. Those are thresholds that we would like to see come down significantly, somewhere between 1% to 3% of registered party voters. Seems to make sense. Now, the other, number two, Dave, this is what really led to this episode of illegal signature gathering, the limitation on allowing voters to sign more than one for more than one candidate in any race. Right now, the law limits voters to only being able to nominate by signature one candidate in any given race. Well, what that does is that forces candidates to try to rush out to get the signatures and to try to get them turned in first, because whoever gets that signature verified by the election official first gets it. And so not only do we have a high number of signatures required, but we have a race to get them in first. And in the special election that we had to fill the 2nd congressional district seat, we had a lot of candidates gathering signatures in a truncated timeline. That led to this episode of fraud.
We're talking live with KSL at Night host, also executive director of Count My Vote, Taylor Morgan, about the signature scandal. The Attorney General's office has filed charges against a number of people, a baker's dozen, more than 12, 13 people facing charges in regards to this scandal in the 2nd congressional district race, where they're alleging, among other things, that signatures of voters were falsified. They were forged. And I want to make it clear, we don't know exactly which candidate, Taylor, was the recipient of these fraudulent signatures in the 2nd congressional district, unless you know and you want to tell us.
Well, I think that I want to be careful. I don't think this has anything to do with any candidate that was running in that 2nd district.
Yeah, and I want to make
election.
it clear, we don't have any specific connection or allegations pointing to one particular candidate, and it hasn't been, from what I've read, it has not been divulged yet.
And so Debbie, what we had here is we had a bit of a free-for-all in this special election. Again, we had a condensed timeline. We had a number of Republican candidates all having to go out and collect at least 7,000 signatures from registered Republicans. We also had a race to get those signatures in first, because whoever got their signatures in first had first dibs on any voters who happened to sign for more than one candidate in that race. So really what happened here is a small group of enterprising young people, college students, we're talking about some people between the ages of 20 and 23 here, saw an opportunity to jump in, and perhaps they had good intentions at first, but ultimately felt a lot of pressure and cut corners and broke the law in order to make a little money in what was a highly pressurized race to get these signatures in. Now, I will say that the good news here is that they were caught. You cannot get away with this. Voters' signatures are very carefully verified by election officials by hand in person. This is just not something that you can really get away with. That's why it really is very rare. We don't really have a lot of these incidents over the 10 years during which signature gathering has been legal and has been a path to the ballot. So the good news is that the process is working. The perpetrators were caught. Look, it's not a perfect process. We really need to improve it, but it is working very well, and Utah voters strongly support it.
Taylor Morgan, thank you for joining us, host of KSL at Night, but also, as you had disclosed, the executive director of Count My Vote.
And he hit on something that we're going to talk more about. You can't get away with it because the county clerks have a signature verification method that appears to work.
Yeah, and it's very similar and done by the same people that do our regular elections. So I think the fact that this has been caught makes me feel a little bit better about secure elections.
Well, I want to know more about this, how they verify signatures. So let's get Weber County Clerk Ricky Hatch on the line next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Troy, do you think it's safe to say the S word out loud yet?
Probably not on the radio, right?
Right. Smart. I just can't wait to be completely covered by the warmth of it again, you know?
Not sure I do.
Sure you do. We've all felt that magical feeling of your first trip in it.
Your what?
I just miss that strong, fresh, natural aroma of spring.
That's the S word you're worried about?
I don't want to jinx it. Winter is listening.
Well, luckily, early spring camping is one of the best things about RVs. That's why Bish's RV is going all in on early spring deals now during our spring camping sale.
Oh yeah! Kick off your camping season early with pricing starting under $149 per month on approved credit.
Clearance pricing on remaining new 2023s and 90 days of all play, no pay OAC. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year Bish Fix membership, your fast-tracked RV service repairs.
Shop the best deals now at Bishes.com/RV search.
Only for a limited time and only at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Offer OAC based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 80977. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Listen for us this Thursday from 9 to noon as Debbie and I broadcast live with Be Ready Utah in the Granite School District near the epicenter of Utah's 2020 earthquake for the Great Utah Shakeout.
Where were you on March 18th, 2020?
Epicenter, Magna, Utah. It was 5.7.
Driving around these neighborhoods like a scene out of the Twilight Zone here.
We're having an aftershock right now.
We're feeling it.
When it happens again, will you know what to do? Join us Thursday for the Great Utah Shakeout on KSL News Radio.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best, just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen, but there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from Pi, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then Pi Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Tomorrow in the 10 o'clock hour of the Dave and Dujanovic Show, Dave and I are going to take an in-depth look at squatters. That's right. No, not the restaurant. Sorry, not the restaurant. We're going to take a in-depth look at squatters and how people are squatting in people's homes all over the country and what Utah law says about homeowners' rights when it comes to squatters. So you come home from vacation, you find somebody living in your home. What legal rights do you have? That's tomorrow in the 10 o'clock hour of the Dave and Dujanovic Show.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, it's just a rainy day unless you're in Utah's mountains, and then there's more snow. Second, Salt Lake City waiting for an official announcement on the NHL Coyotes moving to Utah. Third, the Secretary of State says the U.S. isn't looking for a fight with Iran, even after the attack on Israel over the weekend. Right now, 45 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We just hung up the phone with KSL at Night host Taylor Morgan talking about the signature path to the ballot, which is now embroiled in a scandal. Of course, he's also executive director of Count My Vote, and for many years has lobbied on Utah's Capitol Hill for this second path to the ballot. But there is new allegations. 13 people, Dave, have been criminally charged in this scheme to fraud, phony up signatures and also phony up, verification forms in order to get a candidate on the ballot. Now, Taylor wisely pointed out the good news is here. It's been busted wide open thanks to the Attorney General stepping in and filing criminal charges. But I do worry about our ability behind the scenes to catch, forged signatures that get a candidate on the ballot.
I'm just thinking about my experience. We had signature gatherers come to our house, and we weren't there, and they were very persistent. Hey, what time is your husband going to be back? And they came later that day. So the signature gathering process can be a little clumsy. For example, when that signature gatherer came, he had a stack, Debbie, of candidates. And he said, do you want to sign on Brad Wilson, Trent Staggs, John Curtis, and there were like 2 or 3
all
others.
For Senate.
Yeah.
This is a Senate race. Okay.
I think there was even a congressional race as well. There were a lot. And they asked which one I wanted to sign because you can only sign one. And I was overwhelmed. I'm like, well, I don't know who I want to support right now. I'm not ready because I know you can only sign one. That's something I knew. I don't know if everyone knows that. They probably, there's a lot of people that will just sign as many as they want. So it just showed me, and they handed it over. I filled it out. I took it to my wife. We filled it out together. And it was a little bit of a clumsy process. Now, what happens after that? What's the next step? I don't know. I don't know where those signatures go. Oh, I assume they just go to the county clerk.
Well, I think the case in point here is that the allegations are that some of these signatures were forged, or at least employees that were gathering signatures during training were told, hey, just go ahead and forge a couple of voter signatures here. This just sounds ripe for fraud. And so let's get Ricky Hatch, Weber County Clerk, live on the line. You've been doing this a lot of years. Make me feel better about this, that if somebody forged my signature on a petition to get somebody, on the primary ballot, Ricky, that you guys would catch it. How do you do that?
Well, good morning. Yeah, lots of signatures, and we seem to be getting more every year. So the good news is your county clerks are on top of it. We have been trained in signature comparison by signature forensic experts that we brought in from the FBI and others to conduct training. And actually, anybody who compares signatures in the clerk's office has to receive this type of training every year and must be certified. When we receive those packets back, we have to we verify at least 3 pieces of information for each voter, and the signature is the required portion of that. So that signature has to match, but we also have to have a match on age or address or the exact, we obviously match the name, but we have to have those matches, and we compare those using the same tools that we use when we compare the signatures on the back of your envelope when you vote. So we have up to 5 records, 5 signature samples for every voter in the state.
And party as well, right? Because the Republican Party is a closed primary. That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, we also verify to make sure that they actually live in the jurisdiction that applies to that signature packet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And party as well. If that's the case, we verify that, and the system actually kicks it out if the voter doesn't belong to the correct party for that race or to the correct jurisdiction. The system actually flags that, and that it cannot be overridden by the clerk. So I couldn't go in and do some kind of favor for somebody if I think it would help them.
Ricky Hatch, Weber County Clerk, joining us live. We're talking about a signature gathering scandal in the 2nd Congressional District. It's been unfolding over the last few days while criminal charges are being filed by the Attorney General's office. So far, 13 people criminally charged. And in some of the allegations, there are many allegations here, but the one that stood out to me the most is that the allegations are that people were being trained to forge signatures or being told to forge signatures. So what happens, Ricky, if you figure out the signature ain't jiving with what you have on file? Do you get to report? Do you get to call? Do you have a bat phone to the Attorney General's office?
Yes, we do. In fact, this exact thing happened in Weber County about 3-4 years ago. There were it was back in 2018. One of our signature verifiers who was totally on top of things, he's just noticed some interesting consistencies among signatures on different pages and ended up finding that. And we found 103 instances of forged signatures, and we were able to catch those guys, and they were charged with the felony of forgery. And So we work closely with the county attorneys and with the state elections office as well as the state attorney general.
So, Ricky, give me an idea. I know my signature has changed over the years when I started voting at age 18 to 48. How do you take into account that?
That's where those up to five versions of the signature count. I had one voter who posted online that, look, my signature changed and they accepted it, even though it didn't match, and she showed the two signatures. And we went back and looked, and apparently she's not very good at not signing her name, because we found one that was about 12 years old that was a dead-on match to her supposedly new fraudulent signature. So we look back, and we even can look at other writings that they may have on voter registration forms or things like that to look for those characteristics on which we've been trained to identify handwriting pattern analysis.
It's amazing, Ricky.
Sounds very FBI.
That's right.
Well, it does assure me, Ricky, that if someone's out there signing my name, they'd probably sign it wrong anyways, because nobody knows. Everybody, Dujanovic's my maiden name, so good luck. My full name is not really posted anywhere, so they would be signing the wrong name. So, thanks, Ricky. It makes me feel a lot better.
And they need to know your age too, and now everybody knows Dave's age. So let the signatures flow.
Good luck. Good luck finding it, Ricky Hatch. Thank you so much for joining us, Weber County Clerk. It is good, and I think we do take this seriously. I think Taylor Morgan made some very, very good points. There's some problems with the way that we require signature gathering, and the fact that it is a rush, and it's like, hey, first one through the wall, that's who wins. That is a terrible way to go forward. We need to make some serious changes to the signature gathering path. I like it. I like the dual path, but there are some glaring problems with it that we need to address.
Yeah. And that one where, maybe the one that you're most interested in, Dave, has to do with you can only sign one form.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Because I could narrow it down to maybe my top 3 candidates. I shouldn't have to narrow it down to the one yet. We're not even in a primary yet.
On your front porch.
Exactly.
When they show up with stacks of papers.
It was a stack, Deb.
Yeah.
It was a stack.
We're going to have to continue to follow this story and see what changes are made. Straight ahead, we're learning more about Utah spending millions of dollars to address child sex abuse. And they're going to do it with an elementary school education program. Let's talk about that next.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. The chances of Utah getting a professional hockey team seem almost certain, with the general manager of the Arizona Coyotes reportedly telling his players over the weekend that they will be moving to Salt Lake. KSL TV's Brianna Chavez has been talking to hockey fans at a local sports bar.
Inside Legends Pub and Grill in downtown Salt Lake, you're bound to find all kinds of sports fans.
There's just something always going on, something always moving.
Including hockey fans like Trevor Harding, who happens to own the sports bar. And he's not alone.
I'm a huge hockey fan. My parents were season ticket holders, and so we'd always go down and watch the Nuggets, the Avalanche, because they all play in the same area.
So when news broke of the Arizona Coyotes possibly coming to Salt Lake City, these hockey fans were excited.
An official announcement about the team's move expected to happen later this week. 2 men are facing federal charges in Nevada now for knocking over an ancient rock formation at Lake Mead. These charges would be felonies with possible prison time. The stones are along the Redstone Dune Trail. They date back to something like 140 million years ago. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day 38 points, but the NASDAQ is down 67 right now. We've got rain and snow in southern Utah. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Springtime in Utah, and if you're a business owner that hates to paint, do what business owner Al did. He called Rhino Shield.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
Rhino Shield's ceramic technology is formulated for our unique climate here in Utah and is Class 1 fire rated.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Utah residential or business, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Utah, this offer is limited, so call 435-246-4466, 435-246-4466, or visit rhinoshieldwest.com.
Go Rhino Shield.
Spring is a great time to elevate the look of your home and landscape by adding beautiful flowers to the yard and patio. And pros and hobbyists alike know that the best flowers are grown by Olson's Greenhouse, right here in the mountain valleys of Utah. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with love and care for over 80 years. That's 4 generations of a local, family-run Utah business. So whether you're looking to add a pop of color to the back patio or a beautiful flower bed to the front landscape, flowers from Olson's Greenhouse are the perfect finishing touch to make your yard a joy to relax in. Stop by OGG.com or find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens, where you'll find inspiring photos to get you going on your flower gardening journey. You can also find a local retailer carrying plants from Olson's Greenhouse. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens, where you can dream big, dream bold, and dream in color with beautiful plants and flowers from Olson's Greenhouse.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
The roads are mostly dry in the Weber-Davis County area, but in the Salt Lake Valley, we still have some fairly wet road conditions from scattered rain showers, and then they're drenched still down in Utah County. We've had multiple crashes on I-15 both directions, mostly between American Fork and Provo. And if you're going further south, you're going to see snow on the roads between Cove Fort and Parowan. Murdoch Hyundai, home of Tucson SEL, lease for only $375. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The showers taper off tonight, skies clear up tomorrow, and highs stay in the 60s through the rest of the week. Right now, we're at 45 degrees with some light rain. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
These are some really disturbing statistics. When you think about the faces and the children behind these statistics, you know, my heart breaks. A research showing that 25% of girls are sexually abused in the United States. For boys, it's 1 in every 20 boys. So Utah unanimously passes this piece of legislation. The governor signed it into law to help prevent child sexual abuse. And this is a very unique and direct path because this goes right to the children.
Yeah, right to the children, where they're at. When you read those numbers, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 20 boys, a chill went down my spine. 1 in 4 girls. My mind immediately went mom, sister, wife, daughter. The idea that 25% of our girls are being sexually abused on some level tells me that we've completely and utterly failed, and we're not addressing it. It's time to do something.
And I also want to acknowledge the boys.
No question.
These, and I know that, that is your intention as well, is acknowledging the boys, that 1 in 20. And those stats, in my view, might be even low. They might be a lot higher than that. These are the children that we know about.
Yeah, the CDC says that exact same thing in their report, Debbie, as they said these numbers are likely underestimated.
And so Utah's doing something about it. News Nation spoke with a woman by the name of Emily Bell McCormick, who is doing a lot about it. In fact, they're talking to her about the idea that Utah developing a new curriculum for kindergartners. I believe it's kindergartners through 6th graders. My mind went to 1st grade, but kindergartner through 6th graders. And she was live on News Nation talking about why it's so important that we start teaching kids what sexual abuse is.
What is appropriate? A lot of times kids don't know. 90% of the time, abuse actually is with someone the child knows. So it's not a weird, creepy guy in a white van with no windows. It is someone the kid knows and trusts. And so helping kids understand what is appropriate and then identifying some people that they can talk to if something happens.
Utah Policy had a great article on this in their newsletter. They said 1 in 7 Utah kids are sexually abused. This is prevalent. This is happening. And we're starting to address it in some ways. Now, this is an education program. And I think maybe in our minds, what we don't want to admit to ourselves, what I certainly don't want to admit, Debbie, is that if our kids are being abused, it's somebody that we know, it's someone they know, and it's someone they trust.
Yeah. It's so rare that we hear, and it's horrible when it does happen, about stranger danger, the man in the van plucking kids off the streets. Now, there are certainly lots of cases of that happening, and the first thing that comes to mind is Elizabeth Smart and how she survived that horrific kidnapping for 9 months. So it does happen. We know that those creeps are out there and they are trolling for our kids. And sometimes when I worked for the FBI, I got a real wake-up call how often it happens online. Because there were many times when our agents were out trying to rescue kids who had been communicating with strangers online had been duped into believing that, that they were in love with them. Maybe they sent them gifts and they groomed them to the point of, they snuck out bedroom windows. I'm not kidding you. They snuck out bedroom windows in the middle of the night to run into the arms of this waiting creep, get in their car, and they would drive them across the state or across the country. Those happen. They don't happen as often as somebody a child knows violates that child. And it's somebody that the family trusts. And so often they get away with it for so many years that it causes the child depression. It gives them extreme mental health stress. It violates their body. And kids are afraid to come forward because this is the family's favorite uncle, or this is their brother, or this is their father.
Yes, and I think it's important to realize that in our brains, I think when we think sexual abuse, it's Chris Hansen, How to Catch a Predator. It's the national stories, and they catch these predators when far more often, it's far more likely that it is a family friend. It's your kid's buddy, best friend, a girlfriend, whatever it might be. It's far more likely for that to be the case than this How to Catch a Predator moment from Chris Hansen.
I'm really grateful that the state has moved in this direction, and there's it's going to be funded. Lawmakers approved it. It's been signed by the governor. It's K through 6th graders. They will get sexual abuse prevention education. In a moment, we're going to take a look at what that education entails, like where the boundaries are, where the guardrails are. But this is, in large part, why I stopped allowing my kids to go to sleepovers. And there was so much pressure from other kids to come over for a sleepover that I stopped allowing my kids, especially after I went to work for the FBI in 2009 and I was their spokesperson, and I was just seeing this happen, whether it was, a family member who was doing it, or like I talked about, the predator over the internet, or, a friend's father was engaging in this kind of abuse. I just said, no more. We're not doing that anymore. No more sleepovers.
Another level to that, I was speaking to a police officer that had served in Vice for a number of years. And he said, you would be shocked at how often it is child on child. Somebody that's just even a few years older is preying on a younger child. And again, this is not always just an adult that is preying on a child. It can be someone that we'd consider to be a counterpart or same age range that happens.
Dave and I talking about new curriculum in Utah schools, K through 6th graders learning what sexual abuse is. They're going to give them curriculum. They're going to teach them what sex abuse is. We're learning that 25% of girls are sexually abused. 1 in 20 boys are sexually abused. Next, let's take a look at what that curriculum is going to look like in our children's classrooms.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
One of the things that I've learned over the last few months as I've been on my weight loss journey, and I think is number one, everyone's been on this weight loss journey. Everyone has tried this. Everyone's tried to get off, whether it's just a few pounds or if it's a lot of pounds. And I was in the I got to lose a lot of pounds category. Salt Lake City fat loss helped me in a way that I've never been able to accomplish. And I've lost 57 pounds in 60 days. I've kept it off. And I think I've learned some skills. It's not just a yo-yo diet. I lost it safely. I lost it naturally. I did it without surgery, without injections. I know those are two viable and popular ways, but I lost the 57 pounds without surgery, without injections, without crazy exercising. I think that can be intimidating as well, and no prepackaged meals. All you have to do is go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com. You can schedule a free consultation and learn how this would apply to you and affect your life and health. So if you're interested, go to slcfatloss.com.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. One of my top priorities in Congress is addressing our crippling national debt, which has surpassed $34 trillion for the first time in American history. For the sake of the next generation's ability to achieve the American dream, Congress must take action to rein in our government spending and more efficiently and responsibly spend our federal resources. I'm working hard in Congress to craft policy proposals that lower our spending and deficits. On the House Budget Committee, we introduced our budget resolution for fiscal year 2025. According to the Budget Committee majority, this resolution proposes no new taxes, grows the economy over 3 times faster than the debt, balances the budget in 10 years, and much more. We've also passed through committee common sense legislation that would require transparency to the American people about the state of our nation's finances so big government can be held accountable. It's an honor to bring Utah's sound fiscal policy to Washington, and I will continue to fight for the American family as we seek to give our children a better economic future. Paid for by the official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen, but there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from Pi, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then Pi Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
If there's a problem during your siding, gutter, or window installation project, most contractors will try to hide it, ignore it, or blame someone else. It's called passing the buck or turning a blind eye, or my favorite, finger pointing. My question is, where is the accountability? Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and look, sometimes problems just happen, no matter who you hire. Maybe the wrong color siding gets delivered, despite the order being placed perfectly, or maybe a downspout gets cut short. Honestly, it could be anything. At RGS Exteriors, mistakes are rare, but if something goes wrong, I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you we'll never hide it, and we'll never pass the buck. We'll make certain everything turns out right for you. That's people over profits. That's the RGS Exteriors way. For a free estimate on siding, gutters, or windows, call 801-280-3110, rgsexteriors.com, rgsexteriors.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
There's a lot of news stories out there. A lot. I get it. We're going to narrow it down for you. Get the top news of the day straight to your email by subscribing to KSL's 3 Things You Need to Know. It's a newsletter. All you have to do is text the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, it's just a rainy day unless you're in Utah's mountains, and then there's more snow. Second, Salt Lake City waiting for an official announcement on the NHL Coyotes moving to Utah. Third, the Secretary of State says the U.S. isn't looking for a fight with Iran, even after the attack on Israel over the weekend. Right now, 45 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It's called Child Sexual Abuse Prevention. It will be taught in kindergarten through 6th grade in Utah. Governors signed off on this. Lawmakers fully support it. And the reason behind it is that 25% of girls are sexually abused, and 1 in 20 boys, according to statistics, are sexually abused as well. So teachers are going to be responsible for explaining to your children how to protect themselves and what child abuse looks like child sex abuse looks like.
Which I fully welcome, because I understand this is my responsibility as a parent. I need to educate and teach my kids. I just don't think it needs to be a one-off conversation. And I think too often as a parent, I think, oh yeah, we talked about that. We're probably good. We talked about that. No, it needs to be talked about, reiterated. As kids get older, things change. And as we're looking at elementary school specifically, which is what this legislation focuses on, from kindergarten to 6th grade, we're looking at 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. That is a completely different conversation to a prepubescent 5-year-old to somebody that's going through maturation in 6th grade. We need to have this as a continued, constant conversation with kids.
Emily Bell McCormick, she's the founder of the Policy Project here in Utah. She tends to advocate for kids and the protection of children. She was on News Nation recently. Turn on the TV, there she is on the big screen talking to the news anchor at News Nation about this. I thought the most pointed comment that she made, and it was a several minute, 4.5, 5 minute long segment, was about where the abuse is coming from. And I think we have to let's revisit that comment that she made about who the abusers are.
What is appropriate? A lot of times kids don't know. 90% of the time, abuse actually is with someone the child knows. So it's not a weird, creepy guy in a white van with no windows. It is someone the kid knows and trusts. And so helping kids understand like what is appropriate and then identifying some people that they can talk to if something happens.
And it's not like we haven't addressed this and that there's not laws in place right now for Utah. In fact, I was reading an article from Utah Policy that said in 2014, we passed a law that approved this very education. The problem was we didn't fund it. We didn't allocate any money to it. So it didn't reach the masses.
Well, look, if it's an uncle, a brother, a friend's brother, a friend's sister, it is a parent who is the abuser. A child needs to know what's, they're not going to get the education from that person is what I'm saying. Yeah. The parent isn't going to be the one explaining to them what child sex abuse is if they're the abuser. So I'm really grateful they're going to start tackling this in Utah schools. So let's go over what some of the curriculum is going to look like. And this is right out of the state law. Lucky us. We get to read the state law here, Dave. In Section 53G 9207, it talks about age-appropriate instructional materials, and it also talks about later what it doesn't mean. So we'll get into that as well. What the responsibility of adults is for the safety of children, how to recognize uncomfortable inner feelings, how to say no and leave an uncomfortable situation. I love that these kids are going to learn how to say no and get out. Because I think too often, obviously these children are being manipulated. They don't have the tools. They don't have the knowledge. They haven't been taught how to say no and get out. So schools are going to teach them.
One thing I've learned is sometimes when we have these kind of trainings, and we do so many different kind of trainings in schools, the kids laugh through it, they tease, or they seem flippant in these very important things. As adults, we're like, this is so important, you got to pay attention, and the kids aren't taking it seriously. But what I've learned is kids revert to their training. And I think that's important. Even if it feels like it's falling on deaf ears, if they get confronted in a situation, they will remember that time that they were told you can say no and you can get yourself out of this bad situation.
So there's another aspect of this training, and by the way, we're talking about this child sex abuse prevention training that is going to be implemented in K through 6th grade here in Utah, is how to set clear boundaries. So important. So important. Have we taught our kids how to set clear boundaries at home? I'm not sure that came up in the discussion. I told them to say how to say no and to run away and to keep running and make sure they told us and that we were always, one phone call away. If they needed us, we would be there. Grandma and Grandpa would be there for them. But how to set clear boundaries will be taught, which is great. If you're teaching your kids that, it'll be reinforced in school. And also the importance of discussing uncomfortable situations with mom and dad or other trusted adults. So if mom and dad aren't the trusted adults in a child's life, they feel like they can go to somebody else. And whoever that trusted adult is, it may very well be a school teacher.
Yes.
Or a counselor, or the school principal, or an ecclesiastical leader, or their Girl Scout leader. I mean,
or a brother and a sister.
You can't tell me that 25% of girls in this nation are sexually abused, and it's not majority of the time it's not a close family member. It is a close family member. So they need to be able to know who a trusted adult is that they can go tell in their life so they can help them get out of that situation and stop the cycle of abuse.
Now, these are very lofty goals, and everyone that you read, Debbie, I support them. I think, okay, absolutely, I want that taught. But the details are lacking. We don't know what the curriculum looks like yet because it hasn't been developed yet, the specificity. So what does this not do? Because there's two components to this, what it does and what it doesn't do. So can we address the no?
Look, they're not going to invite the kids to share personal experiences. They're not going to do that about abuse during the instruction. That's
important.
But I think that you go back to what it will do, and that is that it will allow them, make sure that kids know that they can go to a trusted adult. Mm-hmm. So they won't be, it's not a group discussion about abuse and what they've been going through. And it also will not include sexually explicit language or depictions. So anybody who's freaking out about that can stand down because it's not going to include any specifics, depictions about abuse.
And that is a little bit tricky. It's difficult because we are talking about sensitive private parts. You don't want to sanitize it so much that the kids don't understand what you're saying. So that's a level to it that I think may give some parents some pause, and they may not be comfortable. But that's okay, parents, because we have some instructions for you on this as well.
Yeah, if you don't like it, opt out.
You can opt out, yes.
Yeah, opt out. If you don't like it, opt out.
You can be present as well.
Yeah, but they won't be. Parents won't be. I can guarantee you. I think that the parents tend to flap their gums a lot about concerns over this kind of stuff, but when it comes right down to it, I've heard from teachers, even when I went to the maturation classes with my kids, not all the parents were there.
See, ours was packed with parents.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Maybe things
it's a
changed
mix,
in the
right?
time.
Yeah.
But I think mostly parents will leave it up to the teachers. But if you want to be there, you can be there. Yeah. But I'd be shocked if parents are packed into all of those classes.
Another thing the parents are entitled to is you'll be given the opportunity to review the instructional materials before the instructions, so you'll know exactly what they're going to talk about.
Yeah,
they do the same thing with maturation. They post the video online.
They do
the
the
parents
same thing
can
when they
watch.
tell my kids, would tell me they'd send a permission slip home telling me my kids are going to watch Little House on the Prairie on a Thursday. I mean, they get permission for everything. So if you don't like it, opt your kid out, or I don't know, there's an option of homeschooling your child too. You can always just do that. But it's a move in the right direction. It needs to be done. For too many years, children in this state have been suffering in silence, and now the state is stepping in and doing something. They're empowering our kids. Good.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. State Board of Education member Natalie Klein will not be reelected after she was defeated at the Salt Lake County Convention over the weekend by Amanda Bollinger. Klein had been called out by a long list of people, including Utah's governor, after making a controversial social media post implying a student was transgender.
She had to get at least 40% of the vote in order to force a primary.
So a lot of people thought that would at least happen. Maybe she wouldn't win the convention, but she would at least force a primary. And so to have the vote be 63 to 36 and just knock her out completely really was surprising.
KSL TV's Lindsay Aerts tells Dave and Dujanovic Klein did not gather signatures, so there's no other path for her to get on the ballot. She will finish out her term. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The bodies of two women found in Texas over the weekend, and now police in Oklahoma have arrested two suspects in that case. The bodies haven't yet been identified, but they could be two women who have been missing since last month. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average about even on the day. The NASDAQ, though, is down about 80 points right now. And our KSL weather, we've got rain in northern Utah and some snow down south. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat, watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
Josh loves springtime in Utah, but he hates to paint, so he called Rhino Shield.
We have a cedar-sided home at the edge of the woods, painted like 1980s beige, and we wanted something that was more of a mid-century and modern look. We were driving around and we saw a sign in somebody's yard and said Rhino Shield. It's not paint.
Rhino Shield ceramic technology is formulated for our unique climate here in Utah and is Class 1 fire rated.
Gave Rhino Shield a call, and in fact, they were fantastic with the arrangement on scheduling. The 25-year guarantee was important to us. This is our forever home, and we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is going to last a long time.
Utah, you can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
I'd say if you're thinking about Rhino Shield, just do it. It's been 2 years now, and it still looks like the day it went on.
This offer is limited, so call 435-246-4466, 435-246-4466, or rhinoshieldwest.com.
Go Rhino Shield.
3 days only. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Save thousands on hot tubs and swim spas. It's a major manufacturer's liquidation of hundreds of in-stock spas. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Hot tubs discounted 40 to 80% to the lowest possible price, starting at $29.99. Free professional delivery. Take possession tomorrow, next week, next month, or next season. The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Shop over a dozen models of swim spas from 11 feet to over 19 feet. Swim spas offer low-impact exercise, active family fun, unsurpassed relaxation, and installation in one day. The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Everything must go. Free parking, free admission. You can't afford to miss this. It's a major manufacturer's liquidation of hundreds of in-stock spas. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Sale. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meeks.
Debris on the road in Harriman, northbound Mountain View corridor at Porter Rockwell Boulevard. It's in the right lane, and they are blocking traffic at times and holding back drivers in order to clear the roadway. We also have a report of an accident in Mill Creek, 9th East, 3600 South. Put the equity in your home to work with a home equity line of credit and get 6.49% APR for the first 6 months. Learn more at cypresscu.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have rain in the valleys, snow in the mountains through the rest of the day, and then things clear up tomorrow. And right now, we're at 45 degrees with light rain. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
In the 9 o'clock hour, we heard from University of Utah law professor Amos Giora, who was in Israel, about the Iran attacks, the drones that were launched, the missiles that were launched toward Israel over the weekend.
I think, like from an Iranian perspective, the firing of the missiles was a lose-lose.
A lose-lose, and they did not gain much from it.
They didn't gain much, but they sure tried. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of drones, ballistic missiles being shot into Israel directly from Iran. And the fact that we were able to shoot down most of those and intercept them, I think we too easily dismiss the fact that they shot hundreds of rockets into one of our allies. And now everyone's like, all right, now everybody settle down. It's a wild amount of emotions I'm feeling right now, Boyd, who joins us right now. And this is, Debbie, I thought you said it. It's a different way of life in Israel.
It is, and it's one that we have a hard time appreciating here in the West, where other than on 9/11, I don't know that we've ever had a moment where we've thought, wait a minute, we're vulnerable. And that's a daily thing in the Middle East for so many.
Nor would we tolerate it.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing, that the calls for restraint are really interesting and so hard. And I'm one who usually believes restraint always works. And this is one of those that is so interesting in terms of the dynamics in the region. Of course, a lot of these things go all the way back to Old Testament, biblical times. And so they're deep-seated, they're long-lasting. I think Iran really miscalculated on a number of fronts. One, I think they were banking on the fact that it seems, from a media perspective, that Israel is very isolated at the moment. But the fact that you had the United States, France, Great Britain, and allies in the Middle East all rallied, all came running, and knocked down all of 99% of those things, those projectiles that were fired, drones, missiles, and otherwise. And so I think that was a very interesting thing, where Israel was getting more isolated on the world stage because of the conflict with Hamas inside of Gaza. That I think Iran took that as a signal of, oh, this might be a good time to take our shot. They've been much more content to be kind of death by 1,000 cuts, working through the Houthis and through Hamas and other proxy terrorist groups. So this was a big swing for Iran.
My read of it, though, was that this was in direct response to what happened in Syria, where Israel bombed an Iranian consulate, embassy, a compound in Syria not very long ago. I think it was just a few days ago, but last week. Took out a couple of military generals, very high-ranking military generals for Iran, and this was retaliation for that specifically. So in my view of it, in my read of it, it doesn't have to do with the Hamas and Israel war that's going on right now, but this is Iran trying to send a message to Israel, like, stop taking out our top generals.
I disagree with that, Debbie.
You think it has to do with the war in Hamas?
Well, I think it's not a... Typically in the Middle East, there is this tit-for-tat kind of thing, and it's back and forth, and you take out a little place here and a few military leaders there, and that kind of thing goes back and forth. This was a major full-scale attack, 300 weapons being launched directly from Iran into Israel. Is not just one of those, hey, we're going to take out one of your little bases, or we're going to go after a boat.
My understanding that like embassies and consulates are sacred ground for countries, that even if it is in another country, and obviously embassies are in other countries, that when you start bombing whoever you're going after, you are basically, it's like you were bombing Iranian soil, even though that was in Syria. So that's what I thought, that this was all in retaliation for that. But you're saying no, it's more to it.
I think there's much more to it, and I think it's one of those things where Iran, again, I think a lot of this was miscalculation by Iran on a number of fronts. I think they also have kind of underestimated, I think, in terms of where everybody is in terms of all of this, in terms of alliances, partners, people that have been with us for a long time. And so I think Iran calculated that they would be able to do this without any kind of retaliation, because they feel like there's a very big sense of mixed messages coming from the United States. President Biden's messages have been very mixed in terms of condemning this, don't do that, here's a few more jets. And so it's been very, very complicated and very confusing. And I think Iran has been waiting for a long time for that moment where they thought, okay, now this is a chance to really do something. And the Ayatollah, it turns 85 next week. Normally the Ayatollahs tend to get a little more conservative in terms of the outlashing kinds of things. This is very different. So there's a little bit of a surprise there. And in an odd way, he's actually helping Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been teetering inside of his own country. And nothing will rally the Israeli people together more than a full-scale attack from Iran. And so he has given Netanyahu some ability to navigate things just a little bit better. Netanyahu was getting very isolated on the world stage. And now suddenly I think he can act with a little more confidence and be a little more bold because of this. And so I think that's another really interesting subset there.
Is it fair to say that being attacked directly from Iran is the worst case scenario? Of all of the threats that surround Israel, and there's a substantial, a direct attack from Iran seems to me the most dangerous.
Yeah, definitely, and sends the biggest message. And so now the next message is the one around restraint, because again, an emboldened Benjamin Netanyahu, does he now not just go after some military targets? Does he go after nuclear targets inside of Iran? I mean, the big thing that everyone has worried about for a long time is a nuclear-capable Iran. We know they've been on the march to do that for a long time. So does Benjamin Netanyahu now say, well, look, if you're going to go full scale against us, that's where we're going to go next? And so that becomes, again, all in the escalation process. And I think the big challenge and the big debate is going to be, is it de-escalation for de-escalation's sake, which the Biden administration has used in a number of different places around the world? Let's just try to de-escalate. Where Israel is saying, no, what we need is deterrent. And deterrent, you can't just flip on like a light switch. That is a process. That is a long-term commitment. One other really ironic thing in all of this, this also may give a very interesting lifeline to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who has been battling within his own party, dealing with aid to Israel, to Ukraine, and now is this the opportunity where Mike Johnson steps forward and says, you know what, the Senate already passed a bill that has $95 billion for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. This is a moment on the world stage we're going to put on. We had over 100 members of Congress this morning, Democrats and Republicans, sent a letter to Mike Johnson saying, put the Senate bill on the floor today and we'll pass it.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think if that happened, certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene would do her vacate the chair and the Democrats would say Mike Johnson. So they may have given Mike. I mean, this is why this is so complicated. And all your confusing feelings, Dave, I'm right there with you. This one's a head spinner. And the one thing I would caution everyone, there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of information and misinformation. The fog of war stuff is very real. And so we do have to step back and be careful as we process all of these pieces to make sure we don't conflate things, that we don't equate things. Sometimes we have this moral equivalence thing that we fall into, and I think there's a lot of that we just have to kind of keep playing that out and let it go.
Boyd, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it because it's scary. It's scarier than I think maybe we understand or we think because it wasn't the disaster. Being able to shoot down so many of those missiles, I think, mitigated so much of that. But thank you. And as always, this segment of the Dave and Dujanovic Show is brought to you by Window World. If you want to replace your windows and doors, call Window World of Utah today.
The New York Times asked this question to voters. Describe the 2024 election in one word. Let's go through some of the responses they got next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to kslnewsradio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
In the history of the world, nobody has ever said, "Yay, we need a new roof." But when things aren't quite right up there, don't wait. Call IWC Roofing, the highest-rated roofing contractor in Utah. IWC has been in business since 1997, and they offer the best value pricing in Utah, along with the best warranty in the business. They're one of the few Owens Corning Platinum-certified roofers in the entire state. They have their own installers, no subcontractors crawling around on your roof, and at IWC Roofing, they'll send you pictures from up on the roof to show that you're getting exactly what you paid for. In most cases, they'll re-roof your home in one day. They'll clean up and pressure wash your driveway. IWC roofs more homes than any other company in Utah, so they can offer you a better price, and right now, an extra $1,500 off your new roof. Call IWC Roofing for a no-pressure quote, 801-232-5690. Call 801-232-5690 or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
A lot can happen in 24 hours.
The new task force includes state and federal agencies.
The Pentagon continues to monitor threats. No accidents on any of your Salt Lake County freeways.
Catch up on your drive home.
Southern Utah University has the all clear from police.
Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news gets you current, and his trademark Minute of News will get you thinking.
Moderation. That's how John Tinniswood says he became the world's oldest man.
Jeff Kaplan has you covered 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen, but there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from Pi, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then Pi Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line.
Does it have to be family?
It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plan starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
79 missionaries trapped and penniless inside Germany borders with war days away. From director T.C. Christensen comes Escape from Germany in theaters now. Tickets at escapefromgermany.com.
Tim and Amanda.
Yes, KSL is a trusted institution. I mean, it's a 100-year-old institution, and I know that with that legacy comes a responsibility and a trust. But I want you to know, we have diverse voices at this radio station. Young people, we have people of all different ages, of all different cultural backgrounds, who put their 2 cents into what stories we cover from day to day, a voice that is given to those stories.
Well, I've been kicking around the Salt Lake City market for 40 years. I felt like I needed a decade of radio under my belt before I even attempted to climb that mountain. So as important as KSL is to you, you need to know that it's an important institution for both of us and something that we take very seriously, in the responsibility of providing the right news and information for you and your families every day and carrying on the tradition of this great radio station.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Look, we made digesting news very snackable for you with our 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. We team up with KSL TV. It's a KSL News Radio project as well. And every day we put together the top 3 stories that you need to know the most about, and then we deliver those straight to your email. It's so simple. All you have to do is text the word inbox to 57500. Again, inbox. It's all one word, inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, State School Board member Natalie Klein lost her bid for re-election at the Salt Lake County Republican Convention over the weekend. Second, the bodies of 2 women were found in Texas over the weekend. Police in Oklahoma think they may be the 2 who've been missing since last month. They've arrested 2 suspects. And third, the Great Salt Lake could rise another foot or more thanks to abundant runoff this spring. 45 degrees with light rain in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
So what is the one word you would use to describe the 2024 election? The New York Times asked hundreds of voters. They came up with some doozies of responses, and I thought this would be a good one to talk to Dave about, my glasses half full co-host who looks at election day 2024 as like Christmas.
I get one word?
You get one word.
Okay,
sure,
one word, looking at the Trump-Biden. Finally. Finally, we got what we wanted. The rematch.
Why don't we ask our listeners to text us at 57500? What is the one word? Keep it clean. What is the one word that you would use to describe 2024? The New York Times really broke it down very nicely, and we're going to go over some of the word choices that their readers picked. But let me start with this statistic, this one statistic. Almost 30% of Americans believe that neither candidate would be a good president. New York Times citing a March poll from Gallup. 29% don't have buy-in with either Trump or Biden. Wow.
Yeah, I get it. So I think I have a different word. And I'll be curious to see if this landed on the list. My real word finally was my joke word, but my real word is resigned. I'm resigned to the fact that these are the candidates. Does that hit the top 10 list?
No.
Did anyone feel that way?
No, not that I'm seeing.
So often,
That's
I think,
a good one, Dave.
as we look at the 30% of Americans that don't think either would be a good president, that's a moot point. It doesn't matter. One of them is going to be president, so how are we going to figure it out?
Okay, can I just stop? I'm laughing because I turned away for a second to look at you to get your word resigned, and I turned back to our text line at 57500, and the thing is on fire.
You've got all the words?
Oh, we've got all the words. Okay, we'll get to your words. Keep texting 57500. What's a one word that you would use to describe the 2024 presidential election? Just text it to 57500. Keep lighting them up. We'll get to your words in just a moment. But the New York Times put this question out in a much more scientific way than we
Versus
did.
the 57500.
Yeah, who cares, though, right? I mean, we do it our way. It works.
We'll probably get hundreds of responses
We
on our
love
text line.
listeners. Thank you so much. Only text us if it's safe to do so. We'll start. I don't know if we'll go over all of them, but let's start with let's go 6. The number 6 is just made me laugh. I read this the other night when I was in bed, and I was laughing so hard. Excited. What?
There we go.
What?
Excited for the rematch.
Excited for the 2024. Yeah, the redo.
This is Ollie Foreman. This is, you want the
Excited?
big rematch.
No, excited is something, it's like Christmas Day and you're 3 years old. That's excited. 5, the fifth coming in number 5 is scared. I can see that. Number 4, nervous. I feel the same way. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about my 401k. I'm nervous about the economy. I'm nervous about President Trump and all of the things that he says all in caps all the time. That makes me nervous to think we got 4 years of that. But on the other hand, I look at Biden and I'm like, we have 4 years of that. So hopeful. Whose glass is half full? Hopeful.
Those
Number
were the
3.
only 2 optimistic words.
Mm-hmm.
Hopeful and excited. The rest were either negative or uncertain.
Disappointed is number 2. Disappointed. Probably, I'm going to just go on a limb here and say disappointed because, to your point, you resign. 2 candidates, 29% of Americans don't want to lean into either one of those candidates. They're not happy with either option. So you're just disappointed that we're at the same place we were a few years ago.
I think disappointed in the fact that we so willingly accept the status quo. We so willingly accept the people that are in office, the same old folks that it's the bird in hand mentality, right? They're like, I know who these two candidates are, so I'm just going to stick with them, even if they are enormously flawed.
Okay, so Dave and I are talking about the one word. What one word would you use to describe your feelings about 2024 in the election? The New York Times did this survey. They asked hundreds of voters what was their one word. I'm going to save the number one response in the Times for after we get to our text line, because we asked you at text in at 57500. What is your one word? And our text line is literally going bonkers here. Nobody is like, I don't see the word joyful on here, for example. I don't see the word yay on here. I see the word disgusted. I see the word disastrous. I see the word useless. What do you think about that word?
Useless that's super harsh, also pretty accurate. I think I have more optimism than that. I can see how you would get there, though.
This texter at 57500 says, again? ? That's their one word. Geriatric.
Yes and yes. The again ? Has so many meanings to it. Like, did we really look at both these candidates, and of all the Republicans and Democrats out there, those are the two we settled on again?
This listener says discouraged. I think that was one of the words that was on the New York Times list. No, actually, that's a different word that wasn't on. Disappointed was on their list, but not discouraged. Frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Frustrated. That was number 7 on the New York Times list. So the New York Times poll, they feel the same way you do. Frustrated. Embarrassing. Oh, okay. Let's talk more about that word. This is from our text line. Embarrassing. Do you feel embarrassed as a nation?
Yeah.
That we have these two. Oh.
Yeah, for sure. We should be embarrassed because there are a lot of great people out there, right? From both parties. You know, I certainly lean more conservative, but there are great people out there. We host often with Greg Skordas. He's run as a Democrat several times. I love Greg. He's great. There's a lot of people that even though we may not agree with all the policies, we can say, you know what, you are a good person, and I can rally around that. I don't know how we can look at these two candidates, Biden and Trump, and in different ways not be able to pick them apart. On so many different levels, it is embarrassing that we thought, you know what, these are our best chances to hang on to power.
Here's a word, deserved. That's from our listener, deserved. You're right. We get what we deserve. I mean, we have put ourselves in this position as
Only
Americans.
ourselves to blame. Absolutely.
That's right. It's deserved. That's a great word. I hadn't thought of that word. But, when we make the choices that we make, when we vote for who we vote for, we decide to support who we support, and we put people in power, we deserve what we get. And Biden and Trump, we deserve them. Those are our two choices. Boy, thanks. Keep the texts coming in. 57500. We've got about another minute left. Annoyed is another word, Dave. Conundrum. Yeah, so that's always like when a conundrum. Depressed, defeated, mortified. Mortified to me is stronger than scared. Mortified is like the freight train is coming and we can't jump out of the way.
Okay, I gave you my word, resigned. What's your word?
Well, it's not as exciting as your word, but deflated. I feel deflated.
Yeah, it's hard to get excited about either of these.
Yeah, I just feel like, wah, wah, wah.
Mm-hmm.
I've 57 years old. I don't know how many more elections I have in front of me.
I've only got 40 elections left.
The runway is getting shorter for me, and here I am going into my 60s with one of these two choices. What is Social Security going to look like? What in the world is my 401k going to look like? All of the things. So the number one word from the New York Times from their listeners on their question, how they asked voters how to describe the 2024 election in one word, is anxious. Anxious. So anxious could be is that like anxiety anxious, or is that like I'm anxious to see what the outcome is?
Oh, I think it's the first one. I don't think this is, we're just 6 hours away from Santa coming. I don't think it's that kind of anxious.
Okay. So there you go. We're wrapping it up, but keep the text messages coming. I'm having a fun time reading the text line. Straight ahead, couple of different stories that we're looking into. It's tax day. First of all, don't panic. So Dave's here with his top 5 tax tips as we round out the show next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, our snowpack expected to give Great Salt Lake a much-needed boost. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit has more.
The lake is looking at a gain of 600,000 to 1.4 million acre-feet of water. Officials with the Natural Resource Conservation Service tell the Standard Examiner this could bring the lake up by 1.2 feet.
This estimate doesn't count towards reservoir releases, but the rise will happen between now and July. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Tesla laying off about 14,000 employees, 10% of its workforce. Some top executives are among those losing their jobs. Sales of Teslas and electric vehicles in general have slowed down in recent months. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day 181 points, and the NASDAQ right now down 223. And our KSL weather, the rain is going to stop tonight, and tomorrow things should clear up. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No. We have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Imagine if you could track your credit score anytime without impacting your score. Or imagine if you could know before you apply for a loan how it might affect your credit score.
Well, you don't have to imagine it anymore because our friends at Utah Community Credit Union have done that. It's called the UCCU Credit Score Toolbox, and it's right on board their app.
You can take the building of your credit score into your own hands. All the things that you can do right there on the app, like, you can correct errors to your credit report right there and improve your credit score.
Well, they told us recently you can even simulate what will happen if you pay off a credit card or apply for a loan, how that might affect your credit score. I've never heard of anything like it.
Plus, you get a free monthly credit report that includes all the information that you'd find on your credit file.
The third tool in your credit arsenal is credit monitoring, and UCCU makes it happen. There's no new apps to download. The Credit Score Toolbox is right inside the UCCU mobile banking app.
Available now for free. UCCU. Love where you bank.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a crash in Utah County, northbound I-15 at University Avenue in Provo on the left, and an accident eastbound I-80 at the Redwood Road ramp where the vehicle went off the roadway. Studies show being in nature improves your mental and physical health. Can't get out of the city? Well, then take a nature break at Tracy Aviary in Liberty Park. More information and tickets at tracyaviary.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see the clouds break up tonight and mostly sunny skies tomorrow. Then the clouds come back on Wednesday. And right now, 45 degrees with cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Absolutely hate tax day. I would rather have 7 root canals today than deal with my taxes on April 15th.
Probably be cheaper to have 7 root canals.
That's true. It's covered by insurance. So just in case you forgot, it is today. Today's the deadline. If you don't want to be late for this very important date with the feds, with the Treasury Department. Did you procrastinate, David?
I was doing them until 10 o'clock last night.
Oh, my goodness.
And we did them on Saturday as well. Because I have all my kids. They just like, Dad, I mean, I know I've done them in the past, but could you just look over my shoulder? Can you just watch me?
No.
No, you're on your own. You get thrown in the slammer, you get thrown in the slammer.
Look, I had the same thing happen to me this year with my daughter. They're still a little quirky in terms of like what you have to file and everything because she's a student, and so there's some tuition credits and stuff like that. And I was all in on doing our taxes on my own, with her looking over my shoulder, and I was going to do hers on the free IRS website. They offer that now for free for some taxpayers. And then I was going to do mine, as you have strongly pressured me to do, on TurboTax. And then as I thought better
How long
of it,
before you ejected?
Oh my
like, is that were you at least 2 hours in?
I was like, we hadn't even gathered everything.
Like, what is your name?
I don't know what Mom
Accountant.
is thinking. Yeah, I'm out. I'm going to disappoint Dave, but I don't care about Dave. I just care about not getting audited and not crying and not spending weekends doing this. So I totally ejected. I mean, I called up H&R Block so quick. I'm like, hi, can you take me back? Please.
I regret breaking up with you. It was a bad decision.
So Ohio State University professor Russell Fazio has been studying people like you who procrastinate. I want to play this and see what they found out about tax procrastinators like David.
Filing taxes can be tedious. It can be sometimes confusing and frustrating. On the other hand, you do have to meet that deadline, and there's obviously some delight at having accomplished the task. So those positive and negative signals have to be weighed.
There's especially delight if you get a return. And here's 2 different experiences. My reaction to my return, it was a significant return because we have a lot taken out during the year. I was like, good. Like, that's about what I expected. My wife was shocked. She had no idea we were getting such a big return. So it was elation. She was so happy because it is a little bit of a Las Vegas mentality. You pull the lever and you're hoping for the best because you don't really know what's going to happen.
I don't know why we have to go through that same cycle over and over and over every year. The fear of doing taxes to find out what we owe, then the elation when we find out we hit the jackpot. And then I look at you and I go, well, why'd you have so much taken out all year long? And so you're using the IRS, using the federal government as a savings account. I don't think that's good.
Interest-free savings account.
And then, interest-free. You got nothing out of it other than a big refund. And then there's the folks who wait to the last minute and have to file an extension. Now, I don't know much about extensions because I've always used an accountant. Now, I have butted up right against the deadline before where I'd gotten a call the day before from the accountant. It's like, I've got your taxes done. Well, gee, Minnie, don't work too quickly here. And I usually turn them in February, maybe March. So ABC's Jim Ryan fortunately called Tim and Amanda this morning on Utah's Morning News to talk specifics about what you need to know if you have to file an extension. So let's listen to what Jim has to say.
You're also going to find a surge in the filing of Form 4868. That's the application for an automatic extension. It gives people an extra 6 months to file the paperwork, not to pay, but to file. In other words, so you need to do a ballpark, figure out how much you think you're going to owe for the year, for tax year 2023, send a check, and then 6 months from now, your return will be due. And you should hope that you are pretty accurate, because if not, if you missed it by some amount, you'll be charged potentially interest and fees.
As much as we say that, I know there are people who still are hearing that for the first time. Yes, you have to pay now, even if you get an extension.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a paperwork issue. You can't find that receipt. You can't find some particular 1099 or something, and so you ask for the extension. But again, you need to estimate the amount. You go to the tax table. You can find that online for your income bracket, and then send that check in. It could be that you don't owe anything. That would be nice. But at the same, I think most people who file that extension are people who actually owe money.
I don't want the IRS in my life any longer than they have to be. It's like once a year is enough, even though it takes a month or so to get taxes done and together. Look, if you file an extension, I'm not going to judge you, but why? Why would you want the IRS in your life a little bit longer? There might be legitimate reasons to file one, but if it's just because you can't find a 1099, well, you should have been looking for it about February. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I think it's such a stressor. I think we just procrastinate because we don't want the hassle. We know it's going to take out a chunk. We know it's going to exhaust us mentally. I totally get why, for the first time, even though I knew I was going to get a refund, the reason I put it off is I just thought,
you kept saying that
I'm
too.
too stressed. Oh, yeah, I told you.
You kept coming in like, I haven't done my taxes yet. And I'm like, mine are done. But I didn't tell you. I cheated. I went to a tax preparer, and it was really slick this year. What I did is I decided to have them withdraw money directly from my account. I always owe. I mean, I'm not like you. I don't use the IRS as a savings account. Yeah, so I always owe. So I set it up to come out of my account about a week ago, actually exactly a week ago, which I felt gave me enough time to run around and figure out a problem. If, for example, I woke up on Monday morning and the IRS hadn't taken the money out, I would have a time to troubleshoot that. Oh, but they took it out. It was gone.
Yeah.
It was done, which is great. I love it. I don't have to write a check anymore and wondering if my check's going to clear in time.
That's a great reminder, and I ran into that a little bit, why you should do it early. Even if it's a few weeks early versus the night before, which is what I was doing, I ran into a problem. My daughter she's serving a mission down in Paraguay. She is not easily accessible.
Oh.
And I needed her driver's license.
Yikes.
Well, I don't have her driver's license.
No, why would you? That'd be weird.
Exactly. So I'm texting her, 10 o'clock our time, probably 4 o'clock in the morning her time. Yeah. And she doesn't see it, but those are the things. There's always a 1099-MISC-DIV or
I'm getting
a driver's
anxiety
license.
just talking about this. What did you do? What was the outcome? Is she going to have to
There
file
was
an extension?
No, there was a skip option, and I straight up skipped it.
Oh, okay.
So it's not totally required, apparently, to file your taxes. But it was just another layer of stress as I'm trying to text her from 3 time zones away, 20,000 miles away.
Oh, but you still get Dad of the Year award just for doing your taxes. Did
My
you do your
goodness.
other kids' taxes too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! What
I mean,
a
I didn't do
horrible
them.
Weekend you had.
They did them, and I looked over their shoulder.
Oh, it still sounds horrible.
It was horrible.
It's horrible.
It's terrible.
You have to make sure you make big plans for this coming weekend and go have fun because that doesn't.
You know what? I'm going to take 10% of their return. My son got $20 back.
Oh, so you get 2?
I'm taking $2.
Oh, you pass it my way. It's enough to buy Aunt Deb a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Straight ahead, there's a growing number of women not getting enough sleep. Why do we need a study for this? We don't need. All you need to do is ask Deb. Let's talk about it next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And did you know that we get a bunch of service calls per year from people who didn't even hire us? That means they originally hired someone else to replace their siding, gutters, and windows. Then later, when a problem popped up, they tried to call their contractor back to fix it, only to find out that the contractor has ceased to exist. They're gone, done, out of business. At RGS Exteriors, we've been serving Utah for 70 years. As a fifth-generation owned contractor, we've got customers who are the grandkids of our customers we had in the 1950s and 60s. We're not going anywhere. We will be here when you need us, period. For siding, gutters, and windows, now and forever, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit at rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Advertising used to be simple. Your options were radio, TV, newspaper, and let's not forget the yellow pages. Now it seems like a tidal wave of options. Podcast, cable TV, streaming, OTT, CTV, audio networks, smart speakers. On top of that, you need digital marketing for your website along with SEM, SEO, display, video, YouTube, email, and all the social media platforms. Look, you're the expert in your business. Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert to market you? We are Bonneville Salt Lake, the local marketing and media company you know and trust. We reach customers across all digital and social platforms and have the reach of traditional advertising available as well. We find your customer anytime, any place, anywhere on any device here in Utah or anywhere in the world. We work to optimize your results with our in-house local team of experts, providing you with qualified leads, not just impressions. Contact Stephanie Palmer at KSL for a free consultation, including a complete digital audit with no obligation or cost to you. Email spalmer@ksl.com. That's spalmer@ksl.com.
Want to pay less to vacation more? General RV makes that possible and even more affordable during the model year closeout. April 17th through the 20th. 4 days of savings and free family activities. With the best deals on travel trailers, motorhomes, fifth wheels, and more. Guaranteed. Get to the model year closeout where you can pay less to vacation more, just how you want it. Only at General RV in Draper off I-15.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Did you know that Utah is home to over 300,000 small businesses? This achievement is thanks to our state's premier business resources, including the new Startup State Initiative. Ryan Starks, Executive Director at the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, joins us with more.
With the young and educated workforce, low corporate tax rate, high government support for startups, and a thriving economy, Utah is the perfect place to start a business. At the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, we know our state has a strong entrepreneurial community. However, we also know starting a business can be challenging. That's why our office, in conjunction with Governor Cox's Economic Vision for Utah, has launched the Startup State Initiative. As part of this initiative, we've developed a website that unifies the state's business resources into one place. The step-by-step entrepreneur journey guide, business plan generator, and comprehensive list of resources will support you in every step of the business journey. We want to make it easier for anyone to start a business here. Visit startup.utah.gov today and get ready to start something here.
Utah is called the startup capital of the world for a reason. If you're a small business owner or soon-to-be entrepreneur, check out startup.utah.gov for resources tailored to your needs. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Lots of news out there. Go ahead and narrow it down a little bit. Get the top news of the day straight to your email by subscribing to KSL's 3 Things You Need to Know. It's a newsletter. All you have to do is text the word inbox to 57500. This is combined with KSL Television as well, so you get the best from KSL News Radio and TV. Text the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, all the runoff in this record snowfall year expected to raise the level of the Great Salt Lake by more than a foot. Second, sales of Teslas and other electric vehicles are down this year. Tesla laying off about 10% of its workforce. And third, a BYU professor involved in planetary science will have a minor planet named in her honor. Right now, 45 degrees with cloudy skies. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Americans are sleepy, and younger women are at the top of the list for not getting enough sleep. Alexandria Bonilla in the newsroom has been reporting on this. Dave, let's listen to this new study, and then let's duke it out.
If you wish you could get more sleep, you're not alone. 57% of Americans say they would feel much better if they could get more sleep, and only 42% say that they get enough. That's all according to a recent Gallup poll. It's a stark difference to the 2013 poll, where 56% said they got all the sleep they need. A quarter of respondents said they got the recommended 8 hours of sleep. Not too far behind that is the 20% who say they get 5 hours of sleep or less. All of that data collected found that younger women were the most likely to report being sleepy. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
I always get shocked by how many people sleep 5 hours or less.
I did that for years.
That's crazy.
5 hours of sleep for me when I was raising my kids, working full time, and juggling all the things you do when you're a mom of young kids was like an abundance for me. It was an abundance. I always felt good. I felt rested after 5 hours. If it was under 5 hours, I was a little bit of a crankster. But I've changed my ways and made some major changes because I got tired of being picked on by you, you called me this for many years, the sleepless elite.
Yeah, the sleepless elite.
And it's not a compliment. It's actually kind of a dig. That's how I took it anyway.
Oh. It was meant as a compliment because you would never guess.
Just keep going.
Right? There's some people like if I'm sleepy, you can tell because I'm a big jerk face. You never were. That's why you were the sleepless elite. Like the kind of people that don't act like monsters if they're.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it all those years, but 5 hours was a lot of sleep for me. But admittedly, I was tired a lot, and I got tired of being tired. You eventually get to the point where so I have some suggestions for women and for men who feel sleepy all the time. And it's going to be more than just go to bed earlier, okay? So there's more to it than that. But we know that stress and lack of sleep go hand in hand. So that's probably why when you have a lack of sleep, you feel more stress, and that's why you turn into a monster.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah, you can't function at the same level. In fact, I will say this. Last week I had to, I was making a couple of purchases for my home that I've been meaning to buy, and I was so exhausted. Last week was a really, news-wise was a wild week around here, Dave. I mean, I went home on Friday and I took a 1 hour nap. I was like, kindergartner coming home from school on the first day after
Nap
last week's
time.
Newsweek. Newsweek last week was nuts. So, in processing all that, my brain just couldn't take it anymore. But last week, I realized how tired I was yesterday when I got a package delivered to my house from items I purchased online. I had forgotten I purchased online last week, and I had gone to the store on Friday evening and bought the same 2 items in person. So it just goes to show you how sleep deprivation, it causes so much stress that you forget. Like, I literally thought for a moment, I was like, what in the world is this fan doing here with this other thing doing it? Why I ordered these 2 things? Like, what? I went out and bought them on Friday. Well, I'd already ordered them last week. This is what sleep deprivation does to you. And if you're a mom or your dad and you're running on fumes, then you know it's not fun. And you're going through life like a zombie. And that's what stinks about this.
Yeah. And once it starts affecting my personality, that's where I start to rededicate myself, because I can run on a few hours of sleep for a few days, but then it will catch up to me. You know, I can sleep 5 hours one night and I'll be fine the next day. You know, everyone can do that.
If you do that every night, no way.
If you start tacking them on together, then where I notice it is brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite get the thoughts out. I'm struggling. And I think, okay, you got to get some sleep.
Okay.
Catch up. So
let me tell you something. My producer, Caitlin, put together a list from Harvard Medical School, 5 simple steps to a better night's rest. I wouldn't say they're all simple, because I've done most of these. And one of them that wasn't simple is I literally remodeled my bedroom.
Not easy?
No, it's not. Now, it wasn't, I wasn't moving walls and that kind of thing, but I went with a much more moody paint color on the walls, and
Does that mean darker?
Darker.
Okay.
Way darker. Lighting is more like amber lighting. I mean, it's all by design. And trust me, the Sleepless Elite, it makes me, it's a sleep sanctuary now for me. It's
as soon as you step in,
Dave, it was like
you start yawning.
Literally like a huge turnaround. Just the ambiance of my bedroom alone, and also the covers and everything, and then keeping the temperature in my room much cooler as well.
That's key for me.
Yeah.
I could sleep in an igloo.
Well, if you're
as
sweating,
soon as it's hot,
I'm sorry, the minute you
it's
start
over.
sweating, you will wake up. You're like, I get these covers off of me, and you just cause such chaos that it just keeps you awake. So I've done that, and I've taken steps. And I can tell you, I am a couple of weeks into this experiment, and it has worked. I slept 8.5 hours last night. That's why I'm so chipper today. 8.5 hours. Nap only if necessary. Now, I nap 10, 15, 20 minutes at most. Now, Friday was the exception, but it was Friday, and I was totally fried. But if it's during the week, and I know I have to go to bed by 8 o'clock, which is another thing I've done, I've bumped up my bedtime between 8 and 8:30. I don't take these really long naps. I mean, they're lovely. They're totally lovely. What do you do for naps?
I love naps. There's 2 kind of naps. I learned this on a sleep app that I had. You have 2. You have the power nap. That's what everyone thinks of,
That's
the 15 to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a rough night of sleep or you were up, they have a recovery nap, which is 45 minutes. And I set a timer. So before I take a nap, I think, what nap am I going for? Am I going just for a power nap? Or is this a recovery nap because I had a bad night's sleep? And that's really helped.
No caffeine afternoon. You do that. You're
Noon.
religious.
I'm done.
No caffeine. I need to get better about that. I will usually grant myself a cup of coffee after the show because I'm celebrating my success on the show.
Made it.
Yeah, made it through the show. Get regular exercise, but don't exercise within 3 hours of bedtime. Right?
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, stop. You have to do afternoon exercise. Now, I will say, I tell you to stop, but I'm going to Zumba tonight at 7:30.
I was going to say.
So my bedtime will be backed up, and also I'll be disregarding Harvard Medical School's advice. But most of the week, I'm done exercising by then. How about this? Get rid of your snoring husband. That's Caitlin Johnston, our producers. I don't think she means. I think what she means by rid is put him in another room. Put him in another room. Not get rid of him. Not that kind of get rid of him. Just Separate yourself from me. I did. My husband didn't snore, so
Get him
I
a
was
sleep
blessed.
app.
Do you have that issue?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, thank goodness.
Separate rooms, and also, say no to late night things with friends. If your schedule requires you to be up by 5 a.m, like our schedule does, just say no. Maria's here. She's up next with all the day's news. Got lots of stuff going on today, and Maria's got you covered.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health